Perillo or something. I can't remember her last name, but it's just Judge Jeanine. And she's got a message for America.
I bet she does.
Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. The single deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil since 9/11 has happened. They're here. And it's time to stop pussyfooting around. Woo! Time to stop this politically incorrect nonsense, worrying about other people's feelings, pull out all the stops, and start fighting for the survival of this country and our way of life. You need to make a plan. How you're going to protect yourself, your family, and your kids. And this is not about politics. It's about being safe. It's about surviving.
Wow.
The plan? Number 1, get a gun. Hey! ISIS.
Now, we will follow them to the gates of hell.
ISIS.
Amen. Fist bump.
All right. Well, instructions received. Oh, you want to? So, yeah, let's start with guns, because this is what happened. Is we have these two warring factions in the United States government. One is using what happened in San Bernardino to make us afraid of terror, and this is it. We're done. Like Judge Jeanine. Then the other part is like, oh no, we can't have crazy people having guns. We have to stop. We have to get rid of guns. And we'll find out much more tonight, I guess.
Tonight.
Yes. This was fabulous. Let me see. Where's the? We had like breaking news. It was.
The funny thing is, if they did the same thing, the same strategy, and I want to remind people out there that over the last 10 years, gun violence has actually decreased, even though they're making it sound like it's out of control.
Yeah.
But it's increased rather steadily. And if they do the same thing with the 40,000 dead people created by car wrecks on a yearly basis compared to the 400 deaths by guns, 40,000 versus 400, if they had taken an attack like this, we'd all be on public transportation. But no. Well, this is about taking guns, getting guns off.
Eventually, but I don't think it's going to go that far.
No, you got to do something like 350 million guns floating around.
Hold on. This is CNN Breaking News. Breaking news!
It is 7 o'clock here in New York. I'm Poppy Harlow. We begin this hour with breaking news out of our nation's capital. We have just heard that something extraordinary will happen tomorrow. An event so rare and so history-making that President Obama has only done it twice in his entire time in office. The President of the United States will address the nation from inside the Oval Office. It will happen at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Of course, CNN will carry this presidential address live.
Now, there was kind of
8 p.m.? I think that's right as the Warriors game is ending. No one wants to watch him.
But we'll see if the networks break for it. The networks are obviously trying to pull with these breaking news segments. But there was something else. There was another meme that was going around on the networks, and I hope you don't mind, I did a 3x3x3.
Well, that's great, because for a number of reasons. One, I didn't listen to any of the networks all week. I took a break.
Yeah,
I just went to Democracy Now!, Russia Today, and all the real news guys.
Yeah. Well, I did a 3x3x3, which is more than a 3x3. Well, we'll play the jingle if you don't mind.
Time for 3x3 experiment by JCD, comparing stories from ABC, CBS, and NBC. The never-ending 3x3.
So, the New York Times published a piece from the editorial board on the front page of the New York Times. And this apparently is so unprecedented that somehow every single mainstream, big-ass network news program covered it in exactly the same way, with exactly the same script. Are you ready to hear it?
Righto.
This morning, a rare sight on the front page of the New York Times.
Rare.
Check this out. It's an editorial taking on the gun culture in America. It is the first time since 1920 that the Times has put an editorial on its front page.
The editorial board slammed the gun industry and the politicians who back them, writing, quote, "It is a moral outrage and a national disgrace that people can legally purchase weapons designed specifically to kill with brutal speed and efficiency." The killings pushing the New York Times to take a dramatic stand on gun control, running a front-page editorial for the first time in nearly a century. The editorial board calling it a national disgrace that people can legally purchase weapons designed specifically to kill.
For the first time since 1920, the Times published an editorial on its front page. The title is "End the Gun Epidemic."
Is this the only thing they can come up with? This is like first time since 1920. It's epic. It's fantastic. Slamming the gun lobby
in America.
It calls for certain types of assault rifles and ammunition to be outlawed, saying they are weapons of war. It lashes out at elected leaders opposed to new gun restrictions, saying, quote, "Those politicians, I bet, would be killers by creating gun markets for them." The editorial is likely to stir up even more debate in the presidential campaign.
And the New York Times weighing in with this, its first front page editorial since 1920, saying it is a moral.
I think we got the message. And so did everybody else. They got the same script.
What? Who was distributing the script?
Well, this is a coordinated effort, and I think a lot of
obvious. It's when the wordage is actually all the same. It's a public relations thing.
But here's what became interesting, and I didn't know we were going to start with this as a topic.
And before you go on, I want to say something. I think it was the second or third. A couple of these both included. It's ridiculous that they're selling guns that can kill.
Yeah. Well,
what are guns supposed to do?
Did you read the entire editorial board piece?
No, I never read it.
Oh. Well, it's morally corrupt. We're crazy. Why the hell do we do this? I mean, why do we have weapons that kill? They call them weapons of mass killing. That is now the term that the New York Times editorial board uses for guns. And I wasn't planning on doing this because it comes a little early in the show, but we might as well ramp it up.
Sit right back and you'll hear a tale with memes and phony science coming from Stanford Professor's Facebook post. Started from this dinner party aboard this podcast. The mate was a mighty liberal lad, Obama bought for sure. The Professor's Facebook post. The Professor's Facebook post.
Yeah, so... And I want to thank Bruce Wilkie for putting that together.
Bruce. Very good.
Sometimes I get things from our producers and I cry, like this one. I just cry. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, if we had a show on a radio station or network, we have to have memos, book studio time.
It was impossible.
Pay voiceovers, guys. Either buy out or we have to pay them residuals. It would never end. And here, just like the universe just hands it over to us. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Yeah, Jim.
So the professor, on Facebook, the Stanford brain professor posts a link, and I don't know, but something magical happened when this took place. For me, at least, I think we can learn from this. He posted this link to the New York Times editorial board with the comment, "Are we at a tipping point?"
Let's use tipping point, a nice cliche from Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, well, but they do at Stanford. So I reply to the professor's post.
Here we go.
And I did one of my favorite asshole things. I'm surprised. I love when people do that to us. I'm surprised. The editorial board didn't suggest repealing the Second Amendment. No other half measures needed. It's a simple process. It's democratic, and it's done before. Now, the professor replies, Adam, I think you can have some, he actually says you, I think you can have some reasonable limits without repealing the Second Amendment.
Oh.
Just as safety considerations can trump First Amendment considerations. So should they for the Second Amendment as well. And I write back, a post back, why limits? Why not repeal and license? The First Amendment doesn't kill human beings. That comparison is moot. However, I find it interesting you are defending the Second Amendment. So far, no reply.
The professor's Facebook post.
It's dynamite. It works because when someone says, no, we just need regulation, you say, well, why are you defending the Second Amendment? And I think it causes brain fry.
Well, it's probably cognitive dissonance, which is the kind of the problem with politicos. People that politically, lockstep with the one political party or the other. Doesn't take much to confuse them.
But quite logically, I mean, the Second Amendment is not a...
Yeah, you're pulling a Star Trek. You got the evil robot, and then you have Kirk or Spock confusing
the Obot, and then it does not compute. Does not
cannot compute.
No, it's Lost in Space. Lost in Space is what you're thinking of.
Cannot compute.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Does not compute. Obama does not compute.
Yeah, that's what you got there.
So I got a website. I got a domain name, repeal2.org. I haven't set it up yet, but I think we should probably just put this very simple thing up there so people can point to it. And when you think about it, first of all, most people don't understand the Bill of Rights. It is not a right. You're not given some right. The Second Amendment states that it is the federal government may not infringe upon these rights that people apparently already have in the United States.
Right. You have these rights naturally.
But I think, there's no amendment for flying. There's no amendment, so you can be licensed. I think it's a perfect, we know that it would never happen, the repealment, and I think that's at issue. Because the minute you bring that up, people are like, because, well, wait a minute. If we all are in, and the New York Times editorial board, everybody wants to ban guns and keep them out of hands of crazy people and all this, why not just repeal it? And they know they don't have the votes. That's why. But this way you can keep it nice and friendly.
No, the public would be dead set against it.
Yeah. But this way you can be, nice and friendly and fry someone's brain. It's great.
What bothers me about this editorial has this, they use phraseology that's extremely annoying, like the slaughter of innocence.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you're reading it. It's
the kind of sickening kind of use of propagandistic terms, which is always annoying to me. And the slaughter of innocence. I mean, 40,000 people, blood on the highway, slaughter of innocence, teenagers, a lot of kids.
Yeah.
There's your slaughter of innocence.
Yeah, but that argument is not going to work with Obots. Of course, you're right.
Not. I'm just making it. I'm pissing in the wind.
Yes, you are. You are. There was a fabulous piece on. Let me see. Was this? That girl on CBS. She had an interview with the president.
Nora?
Yeah, it was Nora. What's her name? O'Donnell?
Nora O'Donnell or something like that. I can't remember her last name. Just Nora. She's, she's really pretty, and she's, she's like got the brain, she's kind of like a cheerleader in so far as depth. And no offense to the cheerleaders that listen to the show, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You cheerleaders know what I'm talking about.
So this interview that she did, and this was aired on CBS this morning, the president was so boring.
It was horrible.
That I decided to only get her questions, just use her questions, so you'll know exactly how the interview went, and then the little after chat with Charlie and Gail. In the CBS This Morning studio. This will give you an idea. You don't need to see the interview. Once you hear the questions, you'll know what it was about.
During our White House visit, we asked the president about his effort to take historic action and how his climate change priorities could affect his legacy.
And you've promised $3 billion. If you can't get Congress on board, how can you deliver on that promise to the world? How much of your legacy do you want to be about climate change?
Oh, I'm sorry. This
is a great interview.
Yeah. Thank you. We have had 14 of the 15 hottest.
I love it when, I'm sorry, this is climate change. I don't even know why I pulled this. Dummy. I'll pull it again later.
What it was about?
Oh, yeah.
You should label it.
I should label it properly.
Like
You're right.
I do.
I should. Well, maybe I can claw back.
Okay, claw back.
I'll claw back. Now, on Thursday, was it Thursday? I think it was it was Thursday, maybe even Wednesday. we had gun legislation introduced. Everybody was, all of Washington, D.C. was doing speeches. Dianne Feinstein also put in I think it was a bill or amendment. I think this was about keeping, and this will be the first, I think this is what the president's going to announce tonight, keeping guns out of the hands of people who are on no-fly lists. But Feinstein, yes?
We talked about this on the last show because we had a clip about it. And
I have another one.
Good, play it, because the no-fly list itself is an illegal list.
It's a list. It's like
it's a crappy list that's just thrown together so you can put anybody you can probably get somebody's name on that list if you tried hard enough.
Well, I'll just play
due process whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's outrageous.
And it's very hard to get off these lists.
And it hasn't been, what good has it done?
Yeah, nothing. The president in his podcast this morning brought this up, and I'll just play this until this beginning, and if we want to hear more, we can. As always with the president, we start with a hefty "Heil, everybody!"
Hi, everybody. This weekend, our hearts are with the people of San Bernardino, another American community shattered by unspeakable violence. We salute the first responders, the police, the SWAT teams, the EMTs, who responded so quickly with such courage and saved lives. We pray for the injured.
Wait a minute. He's praying? I thought we couldn't pray. I thought hopes and prayers and love and prayers, I thought that was Republicans only.
When he said unspeakable violence, have you ever seen one of those clips where they have a camera positioned someplace like in Baghdad and one of those IEDs go off?
That's unspeakable violence right there.
Holy mackerel.
They fight to recover from their wounds. Most of all, we stand with 14 families whose hearts are broken.
Hearts are broken.
We're learning more about their loved ones, the men and women, the beautiful lives that were lost.
Let's stop right there. Let's just stop right there.
You can't take it.
Well, no, you have to stop because I have a clip of one of these people whose hearts are broken. This is the widow of one of the gentlemen killed in San Bernardino, interviewed by CNN. Now, remember, these people's hearts are broken. The hearts are broken. This woman's heart is broken.
Anderson, Jennifer Thalassinos says she was in love with a man who loved God, who was born again, who was very blunt and open about his criticism of the Muslim faith. She says when he was at work, he evangelized to everybody about his beliefs, and he worked with the killer Farouk.
Now, pay attention to this because I believe this may be picked up along the way. Like, you crazy Bible thumpers, don't say crazy Bible thumping shit to Muslims because then they'll come and kill you. This will be used eventually.
She believes that Farouk did not like that very much.
Everybody else to have that same feeling, and he just wanted to evangelize to everybody, and that's what he did.
Did he evangelize with this guy, Farouk?
I'm sure he would have talked to him and probably evangelized with them. I'm sure they would have had discussions.
She doesn't know.
But her heart is broken. Can't you hear it?
About religion, because my husband wouldn't discuss religion with anybody that would listen, and the fact that they were coming from two different backgrounds. But as far as I know, there had been no arguments or
now watch it. She's going to switch tense all of a sudden.
Bad feelings or anything like that prior to what happened yesterday.
You've been open about this, and so has your husband, about what he has said about Muslims in the past?
Yes.
What has he said?
He's very upset about...
Why is he now he's not dead anymore. He's very upset right now. She switched to present tense.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Her heart is broken. Her heart is broken.
He's very upset about what ISIS has been doing and the radicalized Muslims, Al-Qaeda, the whole situation. Is upset about the fact that the majority of the Muslims...
He's still upset.
It's like they won't come out and do something about it. It's like...
So do you think he talked to Farouk about that?
He might have.
And do you
she doesn't know.
She doesn't sound heartbroken.
Richard Hall, from anyone you've talked to.
No, this interview is dumb.
He's more heartbroken than she is.
What happened
I'm so sorry.
at the function yesterday with Farouk?
No, I know that supposedly there was an argument, and very easily could have been an argument with my husband. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. She doesn't sound heartbroken.
No.
But let's go back to the president for his setup.
I think your point's well taken. They're going to use this. Shh.
Well, it's
a Muslim.
And Fox News viewers who talk this rhetoric, they actually will be responsible now because, it's speech, responsible for this. So Dianne Feinstein, this woman, she's not okay.
No, something's
wrong with her.
Stroke or something.
Somebody has to take charge, and
as you can see, her eyes are sunken.
Yeah, she needs.
A lot of people have had, especially within the time frame of the stroke, their eyes get extremely sunken.
Yeah, she really needs to be retired. Someone needs to help her. And here we go.
You have such a push to buy in gun magazines.
Yeah, it's called advertising.
In open stores.
Open stores? What is an open store?
A store that you can walk into.
Open stores?
Open stores. Guns on display everywhere.
Guns on display?
And it's a society that has kind of bought in to the Kool-Aid.
No, Dianne.
Into the Kool-Aid.
You either drink the Kool-Aid or you buy into something. But she needs help.
Society that has kind of bought in to the Kool-Aid, that the more guns there are, the better protected you are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry for you. Someone needs to help this woman. Another one of our favorites.
I think she's just over the hill. Let's see how old she is.
She's 76, I think.
Well,
yeah.
After she did all that action when she got irked with the CIA, she's, let's try again, 82.
Wow. Okay.
And after that action, she's 5'10".
Oh, really? That's taller than she looks.
Yeah. She's 82, so she's too old.
Yeah.
I don't want to say...
You don't want to sound ageist, but...
plenty of 82-year-olds that listen to our show that are spry.
Yeah.
I use that word because it's an ageist word.
Spry is an
ageist word.
Trigger warning.
But they're sharp. They're on the ball.
Yeah.
They can outperform a 20-year-old.
They are drinking the Kool-Aid. They're not just buying into it. So another one of our...
drinking, but they're probably not the Kool-Aid.
Another one of our favorite California women is Barbara Boxer. Barbara Porsche Boxer. She really pisses me off.
Oh, she's horrible.
I cannot believe. If someone says what she says in the next 17 seconds, you should be handcuffed and dragged out of Congress.
When we take an oath of office, we swear that we will protect and defend the American people.
Here is what she swore. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic, I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation. Hello, Feinstein.
Well, Boxer's 75.
Yeah.
You got these two old biddies, and that's representing California. Hello!
But for her to say that she took an oath to protect the American people is not true.
It's a lie.
It's a lie, and it's not true. And it is...
You probably can't remember taking the oath.
I think it borders on treason.
Well... now you're starting to sound like a
nut. You think I'm a nut?
Oh, here we go.
Uh-huh. This is... do you remember the...
Nothing like the setup line. You think
I'm a nut?
Here comes the clip.
Do you remember the father of Allison Parker who was killed on air live?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So her dad, Andy Parker, who was a thespian, he's an actor. He's on Shakespeare, he's on Broadway, and now he, of course, is a go-to guy when you have anything about gun violence, gunfire. And, well...
The New York Daily News, they had a headline the day after this terrible shooting in San Bernardino, and it said, in essence, prayer isn't enough. God won't make this stop happening.
And you heard the president say, in our prayers, and, I guess...
A lot of gun rights advocates took offense to that. What do you think?
Well, I think that's, unfortunately, it's become a code word for sanctimonious politicians. It's our thoughts and prayers are with you, and they feel like that's enough to...
I think they should change it to something a little more current. Love and light. That's what everyone does on Facebook. Oh, rip, love and light. I think that...
Love and light?
Yeah, sending you love and light.
What's the light? They're giving you a flashlight? They're sending you a flashlight?
Dude, I know you're not on Facebook, but this is what it is. When someone dies, and we had Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots died, who was a known addict. You know, everybody in rock and roll knew the guy probably wouldn't make it out alive. But okay, no one stopped and no one said anything. And now, oh, love and light. Oh, blow.
When did that begin, and what's the genesis?
I don't know the genesis. It's probably
some Hindu.
No, I think it's more like an agnostic. I don't want to offend anybody with prayers, so I'll say love and light. So it's more like New Agey, and it's not specifically
Is it something
religious.
Spock said in a Star Trek story?
Is that true?
No,
I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it. I like it.
Get by, and that's the code word for we're not going to do anything. Thoughts and prayers are certainly appreciated, but we want to see action. And when you have guys like Bob Goodlatte, who was the congressman for where Allison lived, that has 100 gun legislative bills sitting at his desk that he will not consider for a hearing. When you have Mike McCall, who is supposed to be looking after us as the chairman of the House Committee to the Homeland Security Committee, and you look at what they do and their obstructionists. I've called them cowards before. I now go so far as to say they're acting in a treasonous fashion, frankly.
Treasonous fashion?
Treasonous fashion?
Yes.
Treasonous?
Yeah.
When you have murder going on the way we have it, and when you have the ability to affect gun legislation, sensible gun legislation, at least hearing it, holding hearings, and when the gun lobby is giving these guys money to preempt that. Yeah, I think you're aiding and abetting terrorists, which in my mind is treasonous.
It's a stretch, but it's an interesting script. You're aiding and abetting terrorists.
You are also when you're killing 40,000 people on American highways.
Yeah. Here's CBS on the watch list loophole. I think this is the meme.
What we do know is that there are steps we can take to make Americans safer.
The mass killing in San Bernardino reopening a debate over a loophole in U.S. gun laws that allows terror suspects to buy weapons.
We have a no-fly list, but those same people who we don't allow to fly could go into a store right now in the United States and buy a firearm.
Much is still unknown about this horrific shooting, but the shooting comes one day after Republicans in Congress blocked an attempt to close that loophole in federal law. The bill, sponsored by Republican Congressman Peter King, would bar gun sales to the...
There's a loophole.
How's it a loophole? And by the way, let's just be honest about it. Those two jerk-offs down in San Bernardino that shot up the place, more or less,
yeah.
Were they on the terror watch list? I don't think so. They weren't even on the FBI's watch list.
No. Well, we'll get to that.
They're on no watch list. So what good would this do?
Sponsored by
what these other guys have said. None of this will do any good. This is all posturing and then clamping down on the average American who's done nothing wrong.
Yeah, this is what I think will be announced tonight on the president's special.
Well, before you say that, because I do want to get this out of the way because I know it's going to get passed over.
All right.
Play the Rubio clip. Rubio was on all the Fox shows last night, doing his thing. He always starts off with this big kind of forced smile. He's not a smiling guy.
No, he has a goofy. He doesn't have. He has his smile is
kind
almost
of a square smile. It's like, let me open my mouth. He's actually improved a little bit. I've been watching it over the time.
I think with just a little bit of plastic surgery, just 2 incisions on the side of his mouth, we could broaden it. It could look much nicer.
It goes kind of square. Anyway, so he's on with Megyn, and here's what he says.
Joining me now, presidential candidate and Republican senator from the state of Florida, Marco Rubio. Senator, thank you very much for being with us tonight. And so your reaction to how the White House had...
What do you think of Megyn's new hairdo with it kind of tied back?
Love it!
handled this so far?
Inexplicable, really. First of all, from the very first instances after this happened, they, like most people on the left, immediately jumped on this whole gun control argument without knowing any of the facts about this case, just immediately jumped on that, and they've continued banging the drum of gun control up until today, when, as every hour went by, the indications were greater and greater that this was a terrorist act, and we now know that it was, irrespective of whether the White House or not has acknowledged it yet. It continues to be the case that as evidence comes out, we now know it's a terrorist act. They didn't even wait. They immediately jumped on it as just another example of another mass killing, and this is why we need gun control, completely ignoring that none of the laws that they're proposing would have done anything to prevent this shooting or any of the previous shootings that they've cited or pointed to.
Yeah. You know what? Whatever he just said there, and I know what he said, he's boring. No one is exciting. Trump's a little exciting, but that's about it.
Yeah, but Trump is exciting by being a kind of
a cowboy.
No, it's by being that New York guy.
Well, listen. In fact, in this clip, he sounds more like a gangster than I've ever heard him.
We all know the problems, and we see.
Hey, John. Hey, the Donald's going to talk on the TV.
Got it.
I got you. You know what he's going to say is about guns, man.
But take Paris. If a few people had guns on their belt,
guns
on their shins,
now we know where Donald keeps his piece.
Yes,
on his shin.
Got a gun down there.
Whoever comes up on his shins. Okay, Trump. The Donald, don't be giving away to tell, man, when you're strapped.
In their jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being slaughtered, you might have lost some. You definitely would have lost the bad guys. But it wouldn't have been hundreds of people, with many more expected to die. They're in the hospital dying now. And then you go to the tragedy that we just had in California. Nobody has a gun except the bad guys. The scum. The scum.
The fucking Goomba scum.
They're scum. And nobody has a gun. Nobody can protect themselves. They got lucky that they left. They left because they didn't want to die. You know, it's a whole big hoax. They want to die. They don't want to die. They talk about they want to die. They don't want to die. They're chicken shit, believe me. They don't want to die. No.
It's chicken shit. That, unfortunately, or fortunately, that's what Americans like to hear. We want a guy who talks like that.
Yeah, we do.
You cannot. Yeah, you cannot avoid it. Now, we had this magical period.
Chicken shit.
We had this magical period when the FBI was saying, terror, according to our nomenclature, because an act of terror doesn't take much if you look at the rules. And was this just a random workplace violence shooting, etc.? And this was, I think, television history for me.
People coming in ninja costumes is not an average workplace violence. And by the way, does anyone remember the era of the postal shootings?
When people used to go postal. And what happened to terrorists with suicide vests? Why don't they blow themselves up anymore? What's this gun violence? It used to be only suicide bomber, and now no one's doing that anymore.
Not in this country.
I think this was MSNBC, and they have on the show Texas A&M law professor Sahar Aziz, woman, and this is in that moment where it was still kind of workplace violence. This is unedited as it aired. Listen to the interview and then how it's rounded off and the transition is made to the next item.
Well, it's unfortunate that every time a criminal act is conducted by a Muslim, the entire Muslim community, which is over 5 million in the United States, or multiple communities, feel that they have to condemn it and they have to issue press releases to let their compatriots know that Islam has nothing to do with terrorism or it is not responsible for an individual's criminal act. And I think that shows that we have a very serious problem of anti-Muslim bias and stereotyping. We really don't know what their motives are. I think we can tell that there may be some premeditation to a violent act, whether it was this particular workplace violent act or whether it was something larger. But mass shootings are usually premeditated. If you see the acts of Robert Deere in against Planned Parenthood, Adam Lanza in the Newton, Connecticut school shootings, you also have many other mass shootings where there is premeditation. We still just don't know if this was politically motivated, and no terrorist group has thus far claimed responsibility, which is usually a staple aspect of a terrorist act because terrorists want to take responsibility for these acts.
Yeah. Professor Sahar Aziz, thank you so much for being with me this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we have breaking news right now on a possible connection between the San Bernardino shooters and ISIS. I want to get right to NBC's Pete Williams.
Just ignored the whole thing.
He said, thank you very much. And here is something that refutes what you just said. It was just a beautiful thing. So we had a lot of problems. No one can quite figure out because, oh my God, we can't be hurting the Muslims' feelings. This is no good. Andrea Mitchell to the rescue.
We've been talking about this extraordinary story unfolding, and you have a mother giving up her child. Yeah. Clearly now there is a terror link. Pete Williams telling us earlier, we think that the FBI is going to declare this a terror incident according to their definition of it. And in the midst of a political...
Notice that little sly comment she makes there?
Yeah, our definition.
Yeah, which it may not be the White House's definition, I guess.
According to their definition of it.
The White House's definition, there's no such thing, and there's no such thing as a Muslim.
In the midst of a political campaign where anti-Muslim rhetoric has reached... a pitch that I have never heard in this country, not even after 9/11.
Oh, bull crap.
This is
listening.
A very concerning time.
It is, and the more we learn about this...
This is Chuck Todd.
I think the more there are going to be plenty of Americans who maybe don't have a lot of interactions with Muslim Americans who are going to feel fear. It's an important time for political leaders to step up and sort of this is going to be, to me, this is going to be a test. It's a test of the presidential candidates, a test of this president, it's a test of leaders in Congress, because there's going to be a lot of fear and anxiety out there in America. There is a lot of fear and anxiety in America.
Be afraid.
Some of this fear may be justified in some form or another, but the point is they need to address this. Don't fill vacuums. Don't let rumors and innuendo. And so I think this is going to be a...
Rumors and innuendo, but if you see something, say something.
Like I said, it's going to be a real test for American political leadership, both the current one and those that are hoping to be one.
Oh, these are the terrorists. This guy's a terrorist.
I said,
Yeah, it's okay. You said,
Amen. Fist bump.
Let's do a couple of things, or just some observations again, like, that these guys weren't on the watch list. So let's make everyone on the watch list, on another list.
Yeah.
None of the people in the room were armed, as Trump says. They weren't like Trump, who probably is carrying.
Strapped.
There's a lot of people
strapped.
that do carry.
Yeah.
But nobody there was carrying. So it's not as though the country is so rampant, so many guns everywhere that there was no guns. There was no guns in the place. No. Except for these two people who came in with some legally supposed... By the way, I was at a party the other night.
What?
What? Yeah.
What?
It's political. I had to go.
What was it? Political?
Political.
Oh, political.
I went there because I was political. There was the reasons I needed to meet some people.
Ah, good.
And one of the guys there is a gun guy. And he says both these guns are illegal in California. Nobody's brought it up, and he cited me why. I don't know why. He says, and the rounds, the what do you call it when you got that magazines were both illegal magazines.
Oh yeah,
no one's brought this up. It's all they bought them in a gun store. They just wandered in an open store and bought these guns.
Yes, good point.
Because it's bull crap.
Is that true? Did that magazine law pass where you can't have more than
I think in California, it's always been that way. California has some extremely rigid laws about guns.
Let's see, California.
Other states,
magazine. No. I remember the conversation. Gun laws, California, but someone will know.
Anyway, I was going on and on about how nobody was armed to the teeth, like all the Americans are obsessed with guns. Nobody had a gun.
No, because it's California. That's why nobody had a gun.
And then I was thinking, one of the things you can do, ask your friend, ask your doctor friend, and all the rest. I'll ask you. I can answer this question.
Okay.
How many people do you personally know who have been shot dead by someone with a gun? You personally know someone shot dead. You personally know you've had dinner with them over the past, say, 2 years.
Well, but now I need to check my my white male elitist privilege because I have privilege. Therefore, I don't know anybody. I have non-gun death violence privilege. Of course, I don't know anybody.
I don't know anybody.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I do. Ha! I know 2 people who I have met out with, worked with, and hung out with.
I'm talking about the last 2 years. Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. But it's not in America.
Oh, some in your deep, dark past.
It's in the Netherlands. It's Pim Fortuyn and Theo van Gogh. Both of them murdered by gun, but not in America.
Was it both gun violence?
Yes.
Okay, well, you do know somebody. The doctor, the Stanford doctor doesn't.
Probably not.
Doesn't know anyone who's been shot. I don't know anyone who's been shot. So where's all these shootings? I know plenty of people. I don't know, but I know maybe even I know some people that have been killed in automobile accidents.
Sure.
But
oh yeah.
40,000 a year of those. Is only
I know more people. I know
there's 1 in a million shootings.
I know 20 people who have died of drugs. For sure. Erin Burnett. I'm very disappointed in her. First of all, she's let herself go after her second kid, and that's just you're on television, girl. Come on.
Yeah, she should be starving herself to death.
Well, doing something.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
And I'm just talking as a television producer, not anything else, because
she's still pretty.
Oh yeah, but if we know anything, it's how television works. And look at Meghan, new hairdo.
Oh yeah, dynamite. She still talks too fast.
And she needs to lighten up. She needs to smile once in a while. But that's okay. We can work on that. We can work on that.
She's actually depressing. But anyway, go on.
So Erin Burnett, she tried to launch her own meme, I guess. I don't think this was sanctioned.
No.
Yeah, I don't think
Do
this
not
was.
launch a meme if you don't know what a meme is.
So the fact that she was able to act calmly during this, what can only be described as tactical assault and the shootout with the police, I think that is the kind of thing that only comes with practice and massive preparation. So she was definitely trained and prepared for this kind of event. I think they were going out in a hail of bullets either way. And that was their plan.
Jim, I mean, obviously her involvement is a game changer in how law enforcement will look at this. But I just have to ask you, could there be something else, anything else that could have explained her involvement? Something like a postpartum psychosis?
Oh, brother.
Postpartum psychosis. Well, you would know, Erin Burnett, wouldn't you? That's just rude.
That is rude. I think it's also rude to laugh at that because it does exist.
Oh, postpartum depression is horrible, but for her to bring that up, yeah, I was depressed. I had psychosis, so I had to, put on some tactical gear.
Talking about memes, Mimi was complaining at me recently because she was on Facebook, and she says that she had to go back and forth. Yeah, like you have to do anything on Facebook, but she had to go back because people are posting those. There's some website that does this for you automatically. You take a photo and then you type in some sort of a punchline in big white letters.
And it overlays it, yeah.
Yeah, this overlay. And it'd be something like, "Hey, you're a dog, you suck." And then she says that the people on Facebook are calling these memes. Just stupid crap that's on these photos. Yeah. Oh, that's a funny meme.
Yeah. They're calling that memes? Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see. Why is she mad at why is she mad at you? I don't understand.
No, she's not mad at me. She was just telling me she has to go back into Facebook. She's just mad.
She has to
go explain what a meme is to these dummies.
Oh man, get Mimi some more chickens or something, man. She needs to be doing something productive with her time. This is no good. She's smart. What's up with her council run?
Oh, she lost.
Oh, no.
Oh, but that's okay. She's now very famous in the area. She's going to run again in 2 years with a slate.
What's that?
And
what's a slate?
A bunch of candidates all agreeing on one thing, which is taking over the place. And she's already got 2 people on the board that will back the slate. And apparently the rest of the council is afraid of a slate in particular.
Huh.
Those things can get they can get bigger than life.
Now, if I recall correctly, she's running as a representative of the Pastafarian Party?
The Egafarians.
The Egafarians. Ovumifarians, it would be. Ovum is better. There was a funny moment on CNN and a former FBI agent, and these guys are coming out of the woodworks because, and we'll get to that, this is, of course, an FBI operation. He made a funny joke, which was highly inappropriate, but for this to be on CNN, I liked it.
What laws you do, how many guns you take away from law-abiding citizens, the bad people will always be able to get them. And as an FBI agent, we used to do illegal gun buys all the time. We have to be able to expand that, because you can take all the guns away and shut down the gun shows, but they're still going to be able, there's so many guns in the world that you have to kick up law enforcement's ability to go and target these illegal gun sales and the people that are using them. I think one thing that's clear, though, is none of these things that are occurring have anything to do with climate change.
On CNN.
Wow. That is outrageous.
Isn't that great?
It's great. It's so fun. And it's funny because climate change has not been brought in. I mean, they still try to equate climate change with terrorism and refugeeism. Yeah. But nobody's picking it up.
Hilarious. Now, the last bit.
Climate change.
This is a callback now to, we can't hate Muslims, and this is completely wrong, and we're hurting their feelings. This is all very, 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 very problematic, and this also crosses wires in people like the professor. They can't handle this thinking. Exactly. It's more. Where is it now? It's more like this. This is like what Muslim? No. My brain is frying. MSNBC. Melissa Harris Perry. And she's very mad about this New York Times editorial board piece on the front page.
Go far enough?
Whoa, I'll check out what she's really mad about. And of course, she has a whole panel of yes men and women.
The resistance.
Yes persons.
Using terrorism, for example, to talk about Charleston or to talk about even the Planned Parenthood shooting versus the willingness, Linda, to talk about it in a context when, in fact, shooters are also people who are Muslim.
I mean, it's deja vu for me every time the perpetrators end up being Muslim. We went from immediately knowing from eyewitnesses that they were 3 white males, which, by the way, multiple witnesses, 3 medium-built, heavy-built white males, and let's not even go there. And then we were talking about gun control, and think progress went all over the Republican candidates about thoughts and prayers not fixing the laws. And then all of a sudden we find out they're Muslim. Bam, gun violence is out of the question. We start talking about terrorism, and I'm extremely disturbed. I mean, I looked at the New York Times cover today. Here you have a whole op-ed on gun control. Great. Right next to it is pictures from the apartment of things that I have in my house.
Yes.
Like, these are things that all Muslims have in their house. There's nothing about that tells you a story about what terrorism looks like. So you're telling me that when my friends who are not Muslim come to my home and see a Quran or see frames on the wall with a scripture from my religion, is that supposed to tell you something? I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. We would never do that to anyone, and we didn't do that to
Oh, I'm sorry. You do that all the time. I'm always insulted because the guy lived in a trailer park, in a trailer. He didn't talk much. Yeah, that's the same thing. Now you're offending me. I live in a trailer.
We didn't do that to Ruth. I'm tired of the double standards of how we treat Muslims.
I mean,
they are the perpetrators.
That image, and then also right next to it, an image of the shooting suspect there in hijab. And that idea that, like, okay, this is...
Because they used a picture of the shooter in a hijab headscarf. That is wrong, because they should have waited for another picture or photoshopped it out, maybe. Put a wig on her head, because we don't want to offend anybody.
What terrorism looks like. For me, that is a difference, and it is a material and meaningful difference in how we... So on the one hand, again, I want to be able to talk about what the thing is that is terrorism. On the other hand, I have to reflect that this happens only for a specific community.
My brain is frying. So yeah, everybody is just.
Well, I've got a couple of clips on this.
Do we want to move in? Do we want to move into San Bernardino about what it was?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's play this, which is the PBS is in competition with the other networks, and so they do a wrap.
And they are in competition for advertising dollars. They have straight
Absolutely.
commercials.
Oh, yes, and here's, I don't want to forget saying this. Guess who's back on the list, finally, after a number of years, as a sponsor?
Of what, NewsHour?
Yeah.
Bill and Melinda Gates?
Yeah.
Mel and Belinda Gates. They're back. I have noticed they weren't on for a long time.
No, they weren't on for years after they told them, this show is too old-fashioned.
Right.
We want to make it, modernize it, and maybe we'll be
Well, has the format changed? Keep an eye out. If they're
It's a
back
little
on the
lighter,
list,
I think.
If they're on the list,
but they still do the raps pretty much as. I think they may do better than the networks, but they're also longer than the networks. This is the current rap.
And I'll say I don't mind the longer pieces on the No Agenda show. Where else are you going to get more than a sign
but in fact, you listen. A rap on CBS will be at least 60 seconds shorter than anything on PBS.
Well.
But I cut this one down, even though it's still long.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the San Bernardino rap. It says part
Evidence is mounting that the killers in San Bernardino, California, had become homegrown Islamist radicals, but it is not clear they had links to anyone else. Those major points emerged today in what is now a full-blown federal case.
We are now investigating these horrific acts as an act of terrorism.
After days of questions, a partial answer, but few details. The FBI's David Bowditch says there's still much they don't know about the carnage at a social services center. The killers, Syed Rizwan Farouk and his wife, Tashfeen Malik, tried to cover their tracks.
They attempted to destroy their digital fingerprints. For example, we found 2 cell phones in a nearby trash can.
That's how I destroy my digital fingerprints every time.
Those cell phones were actually crushed. We have retained those cell phones, and we do continue to exploit the data from those cell phones. We do hope that the digital fingerprints that were left by these 2 individuals will take us towards their motivation.
I don't understand why they need digital fingerprints when Rita Katz, the founder and perpetrator of propaganda of the Site Intelligence Group, she is the one that claims that the female, Tashfeen, that she posted on Facebook while they were in the shootout.
Yeah, she was live posting.
and I have a quick entremont for your clip about that.
And as authorities look further and further into their background, they say they've discovered what could be a very important piece of information. They say several law enforcement officials tell us that on the day of the shooting, just before the attacks, she posted a statement of support for the ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi on a Facebook page. It's oftentimes a terrorist move.
It's a terrorist move, baby. That's how we move.
To make an expression of support for ISIS and for ISIS leaders. So it does seem to follow a pattern that has been used in other ISIS-inspired attacks.
I want to remind everybody that when Facebook just started blowing out, we had Mark Zuckerberg as Man of the Year, cover of Time magazine. In the article itself, there is Robert Gates. Robert Gates popped his head around the corner and says, "Hey, I was just in my office here in the building."
That was Mueller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Mueller?
Yeah, it was Mueller.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mueller. Yes, you're right. He pops his head around the corner and says, "Hey, I was just in my office in the building and just wanted to say hi." Now, because the Facebook post was deleted, but it was retrieved. Oh, come on. The digital fingerprints are at Facebook, not in the trash can. Anyway, back to your clip. I'll go back to your clip. No, I want to finish it.
I'll play a little more, but there's a point to be made. I got another clip after that.
Take us towards their motivation.
It also turns out that Malik took to Facebook as the attacks began, and under an alias, she pledged allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Why don't we have the alias?
Leader of the Islamic State group. Moreover, a news agency linked to ISIS claimed the couple as supporters. But in Washington, FBI Director James Comey disputed that notion.
So far, we have no indication that these killers are part of an organized larger group or form part of a cell.
Yes, they are. They're part of the FBI.
There's no indication that they are part of a network.
Meanwhile, more information has emerged about Malik's background. Pakistani intelligence officials say she moved from Pakistan as a child with her family to Saudi Arabia. She met Farouk there in 2014, and they were married later. Farouk and Malik died hours after the attack in a shootout with police. Today, a media frenzy engulfed their apartment after the landlord let reporters inside.
Yeah, so
now that was a whole topic, but I don't want to get to that topic yet. I do have a point to make still.
All right.
Now, the thing that I started noticing on all these reports, and she said it at the beginning of her report, was the no links. There's no known links. They're not linked to anybody.
Yeah.
And everyone else, so it's no known links. There's no known links. And this became kind of a meme on the networks.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure I know what this is all about because of this clip. This is the Megan with the FBI stooge clip. And this, you'll pick up on why we're memeing into the public. Oh, there's no known links. Oh, we don't know where they came from. We don't know what they're up to. We didn't know anything.
Joining me now with more, James Kallstrom, former FBI Assistant Director in Charge and former Counterterrorism Senior Advisor to the Governor of New York State. Jim, good to see you tonight. And so the investigation will now focus on, for the moment, the electronics, the phones and the computers, which they tried to destroy, which in and of itself is some suggestion of possible terrorism.
Yeah, full court press on all the electronics, all the phones, all the connections. I wish NSA was back in the picture because we'd have a spider web of connections probably that we could act on right away. And that's the importance of that
Foolish.
program. Really.
Which we got rid of.
Well, which we got rid of.
How stupid.
Was really stupid.
Stupid.
Well, you nailed the stupid word.
Stupid. That's
so
even
Fox,
stupid.
by the way, is leading the charge. Oh my God! If the NSA were still doing, and by the way, they still are doing what they're doing, and you can be assured, if you know anything about government work, you can be assured that the FBI guys are already hanging out with their buddies at NSA, and somebody is, I can't really divulge this. Well, can you leave the room for a minute and leave the report there? Yeah, I can do that. I have to go to the bathroom. And then they read it. Oh, that's interesting. And they find out whatever they have, which is probably nothing because they didn't do anything about the Sarnoff brothers when they had that whole thing in play.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Let's get back on the surveillance track and let's push it in. All the Fox guys are in on this. And they're all, the Fox, the great Republicans.
The great voice of reason.
They don't want anyone to have any liberty. It is a scam operation.
Yeah. Well, run by the Democrats, which people always laugh when we say.
Don't want anyone to have any liberty.
Okay,
they want justice and equality. The other side wants liberty and freedom. Pick one.
So, what happened in San Bernardino. And it's not that, to me, it's not that important to focus on the event itself, whether it was set up, fake, partially, who knows. I'll give you there's so many things that were wrong. I mean, never have we announced the names and spelled them out, just hours after an attack.
I've never seen that before.
Never seen that. Never, ever, never, ever, ever, ever have we seen live shots on CNN and MSNBC going into the apartment. I think the apartment in Aurora, Colorado is still locked up.
I think so.
This is unprecedented what happened here.
It was done on purpose.
Well, yes. And this is... there are a couple other abnormalities, such as Tashfeen. Now, I'm no expert in names, but Tashfeen in Urdu, it's a boy's name. It is a boy's name. I don't know if they use... What?
She's a boy. She could be a guy in drag.
Could have been. I think here's what happened. To me, it seems that this was a typical FBI operation. They were setting this guy up, making him all crazy because he's perfect. He's a government guy. He's a Muslim. They gave him fake pipe bombs. They put him in a black SUV. which apparently you can get on $70,000 a year. Looked like a pretty new one, but it doesn't matter.
It's supposed to be a rental.
Yeah.
I mean, but the problem with it being a rental is the following. It had blacked out windows, which are illegal in California. No rental car company would do that.
Unless it has government plates.
Right. You can drive around a government car, or when the king of Jordan shows up in San Francisco to go have a steak at Morton's, those are all blacked out.
Yeah. So here's what I think happened. This guy was a shill. We've seen this many times. Just as he's ready to go detonate the pipe bombs, which you now know they were inert. Then they arrest him like, oh, we thwarted another terrorist attack. Homegrown, radicalized. Something went wrong. And I think all these discrepancies, I've seen people, there's tons of YouTube videos, which are all, and I feel like I have to watch them all. They're all 20 minutes and always starts the same way. Hey, everybody, the government's lying to you. I can prove it. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
They're very entertaining.
Yeah.
Some of them are quite well done. You're
but then
totally
it's
convinced.
Yeah, but there's like 25 minutes of, but
they're long.
There's good stuff sometimes. So there were a total of 3 black SUVs in different locations.
Yes. In fact, one time, I didn't bring this up last show, but I was watching one of these man on the street reports where they had all these cops that have probation written on their back.
Really?
In other words, they're trainees.
Oh.
And they were stringing some wire across one of the streets that crosses San Bernardino Boulevard, and this guy's talking about something, and in the background, the black SUV goes by. He was taking a right turn.
That's the video I saw. Yeah. So, I believe that they had the undercover agent, there's always an informant undercover agent, was working with this Farouk guy, and I think one of two things. Either they extracted their agent, which was a male, and somehow put the woman in, or maybe she was the agent that needed to be extracted. But I think there was an extraction and a failed operation, and that's why you saw Comey was flustered. Man, this guy was like flustered because this was his operation, and now this went wrong, and so now he's trying to walk the line between, we got to get rid of the watch list loophole, but at the same time, terror.
It's not a loophole.
No, I'm just telling you, that's what they use. That's what they use.
I know.
That's what they use. I don't have much more than that's the obvious conclusion. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all these crazy things happening, like mentioning names, spelling them out, opening up the apartment.
Yeah, opening up the apartment
with shit in there.
And then you have all these guys coming on the talk shows, especially again on MSNBC. Yeah, MSNBC, CNN, all of them. Yeah. Oh, I can't believe they're letting this happen. Someone should call the police now and have them shut it down. They're ruining the crime scene. They're getting fingerprints all over everything.
Yeah. No, and then Comey even said, no, I don't know what's going on, but we were done there. We were done there. Really.
There were passports there, one guy's yelling.
Yeah, there were driver's licenses, passports, books, all kinds of stuff. And then the glee of these news models and whores, like, oh, look at what we found. Oh, this is great. We're inside the lair. The terror's there. Oh, man.
Look through his pants pockets.
I mean, does no one say, hold on a second? No.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Although Loretta Lynch, the country and western singer who is now our Attorney General, she did some important work. She went straight to the Muslim Advocates Dinner, the annual dinner.
We've also been noticing an uptick in hate crime incidents.
An uptick. Oh, that's a nice statistic.
Affecting individuals, our institutions. And in the wake of the Paris attacks, we've actually been noticing a disturbing, even greater rate of attacks. And so I was wondering if you could tell us what the Justice Department is doing to hold perpetrators of hate crimes accountable.
Now, this is disturbing what you are going to hear. And you really have to listen carefully. So the setup is, and of course this is all scripted, it's a dinner, and she has her notes, and she actually has one of her binders, which she'll refer to, Loretta Lynch, that is.
Binders.
Yeah, she has a binder. So, hate crimes. And I think as a member of the court, as an officer of the court, you say, well, a crime is a crime, and hate crime is, there really should be no such thing. But she takes it to an extreme.
And this is an incredibly important area for us. And as I mentioned before, Vanita Gupta is here, the head of my Civil Rights Division. Also, Robert Musi is here, very important partner in the leadership of my Civil Rights Division as well. Because for us, this has been an important issue since 9/11. But I would say in the last several years, and as you mentioned most recently, we also have seen this uptick, and it's incredibly disturbing.
Incredibly disturbing.
And had I known Vanita was going to be here, I wouldn't have brought my crib sheet, because the only notes I brought were I wanted to make sure that I had the information on this issue if it came up, because I'm incredibly proud of the work that our Civil Rights Division does.
What do you think that she's so incredibly proud of? What kind of work?
She says incredibly 3 times. It must be something unbelievable.
In terms of cases, but also investigations and counseling in areas. But where we do see anti-Muslim rhetoric and actions turn into violence, we do take action. Criminal prosecutions, the Matthew Shepard, James Byrd Hate Crimes Act has been incredibly effective for us. But I did want to just note that I think we have charged 225 defendants with hate crimes offenses.
Defendrants. Well, she's reading now from her little booklet, from her little Ortner, her binder. And defendrants.
Charged 225 defendants with hate crimes offenses over the last 6 years, most of those in the last 3 years. Since 9/11, we've had over 1,000 investigations into acts of anti-Muslim hatred, including rhetoric.
Whoa. Rhetoric. So they've had investigations into anti-Muslim hate crimes, which I think
includes rhetoric.
But I think it would be Muslim hate speech or something, but not I don't know. Maybe I'm searching too deep. But anyway, yeah. But rhetoric. So rhetoric, which is code for Republicans.
Investigate it.
It's code for Republicans.
Since 9/11, we've had over 1,000 investigations into acts of anti-Muslim hatred, including rhetoric and bigoted actions.
Bigoted actions.
What's a bigoted action?
I hate Muslims. I just did it. That's a bigoted action, which I will be investigated for.
How about looking cross-eyed?
Actions with over 45 prosecutions arising out of that.
45 wow. Prosecutions of people saying bad things.
I think, sadly, that number is going to continue. I think it's important, however, that as we again talk about the importance of free speech, we make it clear that actions predicated on violent talk are not America.
Woohoo! Actions based on violent talk. We talked about this on Thursday. Here we go. When you use rhetoric, then that will be deemed. And this goes right back to the doofus professor. That's like yelling fire in a movie theater, and if your rhetoric causes someone to self-radicalize, you're going to be held accountable.
They are not who we are, they're not what we do, and they will be prosecuted. Mm-hmm. So I want that message to be clear also.
Message received, Loretta Lynch. This is very, very, very bad. Very bad. And this is the Attorney General, the highest law officer in the land.
Yes.
No bueno. One other thing I wanted to mention. Let me see. Do I have this? I don't think I had a clip, but they keep referencing. Maybe that was in regard to the president. All these mass shootings, and the mass shootings are continuously. The number is continuously accredited to shootingtracker.com.
Yes, I'm glad you looked into this.
So shootingtracker.com is there's even I'll bring up the subreddit here. The guy who started this is a Democrat, and he posted, when was this? This was 6 months ago. Hi everybody, glad to be on board. If any of you know me, it's probably from the subreddit Guns Are Cool, a sub that mocks the absurdity of American gun culture. I've helped mod there for a couple of years now. I'm the one who runs our website, shootingtracker.com. A nice bit of work we've been able to get used on air on MSNBC and CNN, in print at Mother Jones and Reuters, and cited in peer-reviewed academic journals like the American Journal of Public Health, among other places. I'm fairly heavily involved in politics, most recently being brought in to work with Everytown in the last election here in Oregon. That's the Bloomberg thing. helping Chuck Riley topple an incumbent SD-15 for the express purpose of getting a stalled universal background check bill on the government's desk, a bill that was signed into law last week. My fascination with propaganda began some years ago when I was studying journalism at Berkeley. Fight on, you bears! And continues unabated. The way it distills a message down to its basest form, whatever that means, and focuses, I'm reading verbatim, and focuses it's all on getting that message across and grabbing attention and what draws me in so much. And if you look at what they do, they actually include shootings with pellet guns in their numbers. And it's supposed to be people killed instead of people shot. So a mass
shooting
means that 3 people or more have to be killed in the attack. And then there's another nuance.
But that's not their definition. They got just shot, is what I understand it.
Yes, they have shot, but they'll take. Yes, that's why it's incorrect. It's not. You can't call this a mass shooting.
Yeah, but well, you said the way you said it.
Maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I said it wrong. Okay, so the FBI.
So 5 people get hit with a pellet gun by some maniac.
Shootingtracker.com counts that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and then there's also,
well, they should.
And there's also a nuance, which is, and I think it will be important. It won't just be mass shootings; it will be mass.
Hold on a second. Let me stop. Mm-hmm. Why doesn't one of the reporters bring that up? Say, well, a lot of these stats of this operation include pellet guns.
Well, they don't host the best podcast in the universe.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Watch for the nuance between mass public shootings and mass shootings. There's going to be a discrepancy there. So it has to be a mass public
differentiation is what you mean.
Differentiation, yes.
Yes.
Your question remains valid.
I was going to look into this. I mean, I had a sense that these guys were not on the up and up.
You think?
Say the least. It's Politico. I have 2 more clips about this topic if it doesn't bore people stiff.
Okay.
But I do have the discussion of the somebody sent me a Twitter thing. We want to hear what you guys have to say about the B&E or the reporters in the House breaking and entering, even though they were invited in. I thought that was a little. I'm thinking, is this a no agenda listener that's actually got that wrong? Here is when your buddy. Cooper,
wait, who's my Pooper? Of course, Pooper.
And this is the clip is called AC 360. And you get to hear Cooper going crazy, and then one of these guys going, I don't know why they did this. It's just very funny to me.
I want to bring in our Harry Houck, law enforcement, formerly with the NYPD. Harry, it just strikes me as bizarre what we're seeing. Is this common? I mean, I guess at some point the police give up the crime scene.
What did he say? What was that?
He said, hi, do you? I got, oh
my God, I'm on television.
And somebody else takes it over.
Anderson, I'm having chills down my spine what I'm seeing here. This apartment clearly is full of evidence. I don't see any fingerprint dust on the walls where they went in there and checked for fingerprints for other people that might have been connected with these 2. You've got documents laying all over the place. You've got shredded documents that need to be taken out of there and put together to see what was shredded. You have passports. You got driver's licenses. Now you have thousands of fingerprints all over inside this crime scene. Now, there should have been some crime scene tape up there. Usually in an instance like this, if crime scene goes in and does the work and comes out, you still keep that scene locked up and with a sign on board saying you cannot come in until the police release it. The fact is maybe that they did not do that here. And I tell you, I am so shocked. I cannot believe it. This is Detective 101 for crying out loud. And we have.
Who is this guy?
He's he
has to stop. He has to stop. He has to say, he can't do this. This is wrong.
Now we have, it looks like dozens of people, and they're totally destroying a crime scene, which
which is
the desired effect.
Still vital in this investigation because we don't know how many other people that they were connected with in this thing. So there might be tons of fingerprints in there that we need to look at to see if there's any kind of connection with those fingerprints or some people that might be on a watch list or something else. I'm really shocked here that if the police are watching this right now, they better be on their way down there to be able to stop this from happening because this is... I'm shaking over it.
Yeah, I'm shaking too.
Yeah, I'm shaking. I'm really shaking.
I have just a quick ending sequence. We do have to take this somewhere. Of course, now we have Comey coming out and still...
If you see something, say something.
I don't know why they don't license our jingle. It is perfect. It's perfect. Everybody will remember it. It's beautiful. The slogan is used around the world. License our jingle. And, of course, now we all need to be very afraid. And here's Terrorist Network CNN, terrorizing the American people, particularly those who have a job.
It is terrifyingly realistic, but this is only a drill.
Well, also terrorize students, of course.
The simulation, part of active shooter training at a Georgia high school.
I think the thing that keeps us awake at night is what we don't know.
Yeah.
And
FBI guy.
If we're missing
Keeps
something.
me awake at night.
This FBI guy, he's the local guy, and he looks like, if you've ever seen The Americans, he looks like Beeman. Agent Beeman looks just like him, clean cut, tall, like suave.
And he can't sleep apparently because
he can't sleep.
Doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Hey, agent guy, Advil PM.
FBI Atlanta field office head Britt Johnson says a shooting can happen anywhere, at any time, and without warning.
Honestly, I do things, drills with my kids. We go to the mall and I have conversations with them about
conversations with my kids. Poor kids, you're terrorizing your kids.
What do you do if you start to hear gunfire? I think those are tough conversations.
Well, no, you grab your piece from your shin, you shoot back.
You need to be having those conversations with your kids.
In 2015 alone, there have been more than 350 mass shootings, according to data from shootingtracker.com.
Oops!
It categorizes mass shootings as any incident where at least 4 people are injured or killed.
Oh, that's not exactly right, is it?
Including the shooter. Preparing people...
Oh, including the shooter. Oh, that
counts.
I didn't realize that.
For a shooter inside a school, considered a soft target, is Sam Charter's job.
The reality is many things in our society are a soft target, so we can't stop living.
Charter works at Emory University in Atlanta, keeping students and staff prepared for the worst case.
Run and get away from the scenario if you can. If you can't, hide and barricade yourself in a place where it's substantial. And if you can't hide as a last resort to protect yourself and others, fight with aggression.
It was 2 weeks ago.
That, by the way, is kind of the American way. Fight with aggression.
So that security was
without your gun.
Enhanced outside of Phillips Arena in Atlanta after an alleged ISIS threat against a wrestling event. Those we spoke to outside WWE's Survivor Series decided to show up anyway.
Little ad
Things
there.
are going to happen no matter what. You can't live your life in fear.
What I'm going to say is run. Run as fast as you can.
Law enforcement experts say everyone should consider a safety plan before something actually does happen. A 2014 study by the FBI found most active shootings end in 5 minutes or less.
All right. Then we have the UK.
Okay, can I stop for a second?
Of course.
Just to remind people again, this is like, how many people do you know that have been shot? How many school shootings has there been?
One is too many, John.
Well, let's say there's been 5 or 6 or 10. How many schools do you believe are in the United States? You do this to me all the time, so I'm going to do it to you.
I'm going to say 8,000.
130,000.
Right.
There are 98,000 plus public K through 12 schools, and there are 33,333,66.
No.
Yes. Private K through 12. Total being over 130,000.
I have the solution.
See, the problem is you have the same kind of view. You said 8,000, actually thinking maybe, even though it doesn't make any sense.
No.
You're thinking along those lines because that's what everyone does. Well, they don't realize the sheer number of these schools to be doing active shooting drills in 130,000 schools when it's not a threat remotely.
Hey, is it really 133,666, or you just...
No, it's 33366.
33. How much?
33,366.
That's how many schools we have.
Private
schools. That's like
public is 98,800.
Right. I have a solution though. I think the best thing to do is through Common Core. If you don't have your grades up to par, you get a yellow sticker. And then that way,
in the form of a target.
Yes, that way the terrorists will know who to take out.
Yeah.
Because they're useless anyway.
Probably.
Now, the Brits have come up with a slogan, which this FBI guy almost made it. They have a slogan, because, of course, we had another terror incident in the tube, which I'll play a funny clip from. This is how the Brits are telling their human resources how to react.
The British National Counter-Terrorism Security Office has issued some guidelines on what you should do if you're caught up in a terror attack. People panic, that's natural, but the advice is actually very straightforward: to follow 3 stay-safe principles.
Any idea?
Duck and cover.
Yeah, duck and cover.
Duck and cover. Shield your eyes.
Yeah.
And
retreat to your safe space.
And scream.
Run, hide, and tell. Firstly, run.
Run.
Identify your security options and try to find a safe route, and then try to escape. But don't expose yourself to any danger. If you can't run, then hide. Try to find a secure hiding place, ideally behind substantial brickwork or heavily reinforced walls.
Hold on, I'm looking for a safe space. Oh, these walls aren't reinforced enough. Oh no.
Bullets can go through glass and wood, but they can also go through brickwork and through metal. Whilst you're hiding, stay out of sight, but also turn any devices to silent. Stay away from doors, but don't get yourself trapped.
And then, tell.
Once you're able to, tell. Call the police and give them as much information as possible. When the police arrive, they'll need to distinguish you from the attackers, so they may point guns at you. They'll ask you questions, and they'll be firm. Show your hands and don't make any sudden movements, but do try to move to a safe area. When the area is safe, the police will evacuate you.
Oh, yeah.
We have to accept now that terror can strike anywhere and at any time. But statistically, the chances of you being caught up in a terror attack are still very small.
So what is fun is we had this terror attack on the tube the other night, and it shows just how wrong these guys are about run, hide, and tell. It should be 4 steps. One is videotape it. Videotape it. That's what you got to do first. Videotape it. And it has nothing to do with guns. Here's a fantastic example, if true, although I have doubts, because everyone videotaped it, but no one caught the guy on camera saying what he's accused of saying. A 3-inch blade. It doesn't have anything to do with guns. Crazy people will attack with anything. Or IEDs maybe next, but guns, oh yeah. No, so this guy attacks people in the tube station with a knife, yelling, "This is for Syria." Very interesting report. See if you can catch this. And this is terrorism, of course.
One stabbing victim does have serious injuries. 2 others suffered minor injuries. We're told. Joining me now on the phone.
Yeah, this is Phil Black. Somehow he's like the senior correspondent in the UK. This guy
from London, our international correspondent Phil Black. Phil, what do you know?
What do you know?
What do you know? Instead of what are you learning? Hey, what do you know? Hey, what do you know? I don't know. You know something? I don't know. What do you know?
Joining me now on the phone from London, our international correspondent Phil Black. Phil, what do you know?
What do you know?
Hey, Tommy, we've got a pretty good idea of what this looked like and just how chaotic it was in the ticket hall of the Leytonstone tube station. This is in London's east because of these videos that have been posted online. And in them you can see the man seemingly after he's carried out the knife attacks, but at the moment that he's being confronted by police. They show, and we won't show you this, but they show a lot of blood on the ground.
Why don't they show the blood? Was it not real enough looking, or why don't they show it? Well, you can't handle blood.
Following one of the stabbing incidents there, he's then confronted by police. You can hear them screaming at him, telling him to drop the knife, and then a taser is discharged, possibly twice, and he's detained. Now, the result of all of this, we're told, is that you're right, 3 people have been injured, one of them seriously. But
now wait for it.
The injuries there are not life-threatening, which is good news. And the police have said they are treating this as a terror attack or a potential terror incident.
It's a little different. Is it a terror act or a potential terror incident? So he's baiting here. He's lying a little bit. But
the reason, perhaps, is, according to witnesses being reported widely in the British media, this man was heard to say, "This is for Syria," repeatedly. Now, the police haven't confirmed that specifically.
And they also don't have any video of him saying that.
But as I said, they are treating it as a terror attack. You can't hear him saying this in any of the videos. I mean, this happened at 7 p.m., I think, on a Saturday night.
Right.
A very busy time on the London Underground. In Christmas party season, a lot of people out and about.
Now, of course, he's going to say there's a reason for this. And then the reason is obviously, because the UK voted to bomb ISIS.
And the timing is also, Crystal, in a different way. Of course, this is the week that Britain has just begun launching terror attacks against ISIS.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
He's not lying.
I actually had that clip.
Oh, really?
And I spotted the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Somewhere along the lines, I lost it, so I didn't have it. But I have to congratulate you because I'm poaching. I'm over on CNN listening to this stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. I poached on your 3x3.
And I have to say, oh, really? I have to say that when he said terrorists.
Terror attack on ISIS.
I just cracked up.
Too.
It wasn't even one of those things that could get by you.
I think a lot of people missed it. The CNN woman missed it.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Yeah, what am I thinking? Oh man,
probably had a hook in her mouth.
But I do want to tell our producers that there is a way to act when you're in an active shooter situation. This is the no agenda way. You go out into the clear, you look them straight in the eye, and you say, "Go podcasting!"
And I do want to remind people that if you do follow the 4 steps that we have and you want to videotape it, which is, of course, a misnomer, but that's what we call it, on your phone, please put the phone in a horizontal position. Not a vertical position.
Yes, it sucks.
It's stupid. And I think they're almost done so you can't see anything. Put it horizontal and get behind something and just start, filming the guy. And don't forget, the one main thing. Remember. Well, I don't care whether they remember or not.
Okay.
But remember, you can get paid.
Yes.
For the movie you make.
Yes.
Do not give it away.
Do not leave that for the big boys.
See something, sell something. That's what we're
see something, sell something.
We need a new version. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. Something, sell something, Dvorak.
And thank you for your courage also in the morning. All the feet on the ground, boots in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to everyone in the chat room helping out with the lines today. Very good. That's noagendastream.com. Thank you very much to our artists, in particular Jay Moon. That Jay Moon provided us with the album art for episode 778, Long Gun. It was very funny, with President Obama listening to 99.5 Climate FM, where we melt the hits. Melting the hits from coast to coast and even the Antarctic. It's 99.5 Climate FM. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can.
We only have 3 people. We actually had a pretty poor showing except for one guy.
We got lucky today, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody was.
And I do want to mention that when I say we got lucky, I mean it because we use your donations to pay bills. And not like just server bills, but like bills for us to live.
Bills, so we can get through the show.
So I'm always happy.
Yeah, well, Christopher Fenwick, who came, I have a note from him. He's an Insta Baronet. He could have been an Insta Baron actually, but because he came with 281136.
Holy mackerel!
And he's now going to be a Black Knight.
Oh no!
Well. He sent this. I'm going to have to read the whole note, obviously. We only have 3 producers anyway. And he's the only executive producer.
Mm-hmm.
Dear John and Adam, it's with great humility that I come before you at this time to plead your forgiveness. I have been an avid listener to the No Agenda show since the very beginning. I have been propagating the formula, and I have been hitting people in the mouth, but until very recently, I have not had the ability to donate to the best podcast in the universe.
Oh, my.
So today, my goal is to rectify this, when it did so in a big way, and hopefully inspire others. Oh, I got this nagging cough. Sorry, let me get a little sip, something to drink. To realize what an important service you provide and to encourage others to choose to support what you're doing, because we all know that sponsorship can never work for No Agenda.
Correct.
We do know that. Today, I'd like to make good on all the months that I've been listening with the standard $5 a month donation, which comes out to about $500. I'd like to purchase one of the old podcast licenses for $33.33, also known as the magic number. I'd appreciate a Mile High Club for $52.80, double nickels on the dime for $55.10. If you would be so kind, I'd like to get some Swazzlenuff for $69.69. It would be nice to throw in a crate of 8s, 88.88, to commemorate the past 8 years while I'm at it. It would be great to appreciate John with his favorite donation of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I'm lucky, maybe he could unblock me from Twitter.
No, this just proves that it makes no difference if you block people on Twitter. They love us anyway.
I'll go back and
you for some reason.
I have to go check it out and see if it's blocked. I doubt it, actually.
Way to go. Way to go. Hey, donate to the No Agenda show. Blocked.
Get unblocked. Since we are at show 777, it'd be nice to become an executive producer for 777.
You're Silicon Valley ransomware is what you are.
And while we're at it, I'd totally be remiss not to go for the Instanite at $1,000.
Oh, nice.
So by my math, it comes to 2811.36. And if you could be so kind, I'd love it if you could lose my donation for a week, so that I could become a Black Knight. Okay?
We lost it, I guess.
And he says, frankly, it sounds badass.
Badass.
That's something to think about, maybe making the Black Knight thing something more than just losing donations. It's a wonderful thing you do, and it's my wish that more people would come to find our show, and it is our show.
I love how he says that. That's great.
Yes, because he's right. And that they, too, would see fit to support the efforts. And then he says, John and Adam, you are both amazing. I have a clip of amazing things. I'm so glad that No Agenda exists. I have no jingle requests. You can save them for the others who donate, but you can always give yourselves a healthy dose of karma. I'd love it if you would knight me Sir Fenwick, Black Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable.
You got it.
And then he has all the accounting.
Is this amazing thing? You want me to play that now?
Let me play this amazing thing. Let me give it some setup. And I'm going to probably do a few of these. There's a local show around here called, it's a restaurant review show that's done by a local celebrity. And they had 3 people sitting around the table, and they all go to the same restaurant and review it. And every one of these shows sounds like what you're going to hear here.
I absolutely love this restaurant. This was amazing. I mean, and the staff was just amazing. The Caesar salad with the calamari, it was amazing. It was the cheese was really fresh, and it was just amazing. 3 of us, give me some credit, but it was amazing. And I would go back just for the cioppino and the carbonara. Amazing.
That is amazing.
Oh.
The show is wall to wall
amazing.
You watch it and you just make you want to pull your hair out of your head. It's like the people are illiterate. Anyway, so I want to thank Chris for his kind support.
And does he need he doesn't really need a deducing.
He throws karma out there. Let's get the karma.
You got it. Karma coming your way, sir.
You've got karma.
Thank you very much. I very much look forward to your ceremony later on.
Lodek Zelenik, maybe, in Chatham, New Jersey, says there's no reason to read. There's no $202.02. This is yearly donations, but some karma would be good.
You got it. Thank you so much for your support of the best podcast in the universe.
You've got karma.
And finally, Eric Henry, $200 from Oviedo, Florida, I believe. ITM Guardians of Reality, karma to both Grand Dukes and all peerages to keep and allow the show to keep the show going. Karma to the artists, jingle, and song makers. Yes. I would like to present a challenge to those with musical talent. I would like to hear some Obama No 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 mixed into Sweat by Inner Circle. Now we're getting requests.
Yeah, nice.
But these are not normal requests. Once you hear or remember the song, everyone will realize the possibilities are endless and hilarious. Bonus points for creativity. Number 4, I will follow this donation up with another by the end of the year if someone takes my challenge. You guys help keep me sane and entertained going between my 2 jobs and living in the mac and cheese life. I've been a douche since my last donation around episode 500, but have not missed an episode. The content keeps getting better and better and better and better. I continue to hit people in the mouth, but think they are all too far gone.
Mm-hmm.
Please, yes, which is, we all notice this. That's why we always used to say, sing to the choir. Please de-douche me and play my favorite song, Trump Techno, at the end of the show. P.S. I think you guys missed something when listening to Jeb's answer to the question about policy in Syria during the last debate. This was a few episodes back. If you listen to what he is saying about Russia and replace the instigator Russia with the United States, he basically tells the whole U.S. plan for the area. Thank you for my we have to go back down and listen to that. Thank you for my no agenda ears and the constant stream of usable information.
So I think
bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing.
So he wants the techno version of that, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll look for that. And de-douching and karma, thank you so much.
You've been de-douched. You've got karma.
And that's about it for show 779. I want to remind people we do have another show coming up next week on Thursday, 780. As we approach 787, which will be our last moment where we'll accept the Mile High Club stuff and put the website up with everybody's names, mostly. And we'll probably forget one.
And I'd like to call a quick producer meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, producers listening to this program. That's who you all are, producers. Can we, chat room, pay attention. The No Agenda Intelligence Network is getting pretty good, but it's also getting full, and it's just 2 guys doing the show. I just from time to time, I need to remind you, as a good producer, please be mindful of what you are sending and how you send it. I'm running out of days. I'm running out of hours in the day. And we can't afford to have producers, and nor do we want to, in the studio, like feeding me, like send it to this guy and then that guy will send it to me. When you just have a link, please put it on Twitter. You will know that I saw it when I click on the heart, which is like or I love you or whatever that means these days. If you have something that really needs explanation, please feel free to email it with any analysis, but be mindful and do not send this. You'll love this, and it's like an hour and 30 minutes. I can't do that. It's okay if on Twitter you just have a link and don't say anything about it. That's okay because I can click over, and it goes pretty quick. It's really just going to help the show if you do that. Oh, and if you're going to encrypt your email, also be mindful if you say, "Oh, this is great, you got to see it right now," blah, blah. Because I'm often on my phone, and to decrypt an email on the phone, you have to copy it, go over to OpenGPG. You've got to do all your passwords. And then it says, hey, love the show. Now, don't. That took me 5 minutes. And I'm not complaining.
Now we see what the real gripe was. No, somebody encrypted a mundane or banal.
No, that happens. Message. That happens all the time. It's more
about. There's no reason to encrypt a banal message. There's no reason.
But if you're just sending me a link to the Wall Street Journal or anything else, just a link. Please just put it on Twitter. It's easier. And you'll know that I read it. Because I feel obligated in an email to say, thanks. And I'll do it TNX ! But still, it's just easier. And it really reduces clutter. There's a lot of stuff coming in.
Clutter.
And with that, of course, we thank our executive producer and our associate executive producers for today's show. Really highly appreciate it. Thanks for bringing this one in so we can continue producing and broadcasting the best podcast in the universe, of which there will be another show on Thursday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And of course, you can always go out there and propagate our formula.
Our formula is this:
go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order!
Shut up, slave! I did something interesting yesterday, something different. I was in San Antone.
Yes, you mentioned this.
Yeah, I told you on email. I said I can't proofread the newsletter because
maybe you should have proofread. Maybe it gets better response. Nobody cared about Pootler.
Huh?
Yeah,
that's too bad.
Yeah.
I was invited by my therapist. This is once every 3 months to go to a breathing workshop. And here's how she hooked me in. She said, "You will love this because
you will love this."
You don't want to mock postpartum depression, but yet if I'm doing some work on personal work, you mock.
Yeah, I just think it's an intelligence agency brainwashing you to ruin the show. But that's just my thinking. I'm just parent.
Well, that's interesting. You bring that up. Let me just write that down. Do you need to mention that? So the way she hooked me, she said, "You do this breathing, and you're just breathing, but you're breathing in and out continuously, lying down on the floor." And she says, "Within 5 minutes, you'll be higher than any drug you've ever used." I'm like, damn, I'm there. Let's do this. This was this was fantastic. It was only like 15 people, but the people who were there, therapists. This is kind of like a therapist thing to do. This is what they do for themselves. Couples therapists, addiction therapists. They were all there to take the workshop, but also senior level project managers for all kinds of technology companies, 3 or 4 of them, and a guy. And there's only 3 guys. Myself, I can't identify what they all do, except for this third guy who is a professor in Russian history.
Oh,
we have a new contact.
Good.
Yeah,
that was worth it.
Oh, he was like, "Oh my God, no one knows this, but professors." And well, you should listen to this podcast. You might dig it. So the idea is you split up in groups, and 2. You have a breather and a sitter, and then for 2 hours, the sitter sits next to the person who's laying flat on the ground with blankets or pillows or however they feel comfortable, and then they turn on this music loud. And it's film scores, it's tribal beats, it's all kind of stuff. And then
are your eyes pinned open?
No,
you have to watch a movie.
No, they're closed.
Oh, okay.
Just on the ground, you're comfortable. And so the breather is doing that, and then you're doing the sitting. And so you have to pair up. And I've been and I saw this one lady, Latina, 65 years old, had a shitty story. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to team up 5 feet tall. I'm like, yeah, I'll team up with you. You seem like fun. And so we're getting ready to do this. And I was a sitter first and a breather later. And so she says, well, I've done this 5 times and I kind of know what's going to happen and how I'm going to do it because everyone responds in a different way. And she has this plastic bat. But, it looks like a real bat, but it's plastic. I guess maybe a wiffle ball type bat.
Like a flying bat?
No, like a bat, a baseball bat.
Oh, a baseball bat.
Yeah, like a wiffle ball bat.
Okay.
And
are there vents in the room that are kind of all around?
Vents?
Yeah, vents, so they can gas you.
No, there's no vents. Actually, the location was nice, kind of a small chapel / church, which they rent out for small groups to do things like this.
So it had a high ceiling,
very high ceiling.
Okay.
So the music's blasting, and she goes into her train. Everyone, I'm watching the room because I'm sitting. I'm watching. Everyone's kind of going into this thing, and some are moving around, and then she gets on her haunches, and her eyes are closed, and she grabs this bat, and then she just starts whacking the pillow like boom, and I'm like, holy crap! I'm like backing off. I'm positioning the pillows. There's the leaders of the workshop are like, oh no, we know how this goes. Just be careful. She didn't whack you with the bat. And I look around, and so I've got her whacking the pillow with the bat. There's women crying. There's people like rolling over. I'm in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is fucking amazing.
What was but you couldn't hear the subliminal messages in the music, or
no, that
the
came
hypnotic.
No, wait for it. So after 2 hours, and I'm sitting there. And
Did
honestly,
she bash the pillow for 2 hours?
For a good 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. But then she lost her dad, and then I held her hand. It was really beautiful. I mean, it was real nice connection between human beings. I really enjoyed it until at the end of the first 2 hour segment, and everyone's kind of waking up slowly, and they play Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I'm like, holy crap! It's an MK Ultra exercise. I've been completely.
I knew something was fishy.
Oh, but I highly recommend it. So I did it in the afternoon. I did. No. The only thing I could do was fly. I was flying. That's for what it's.
Okay.
I didn't have I had a totally groovy experience. Can't wait to go back, and I highly recommend it.
Oh wow, man!
Oh fuck you! Come on, I'm working on myself.
Yeah, it sounds like someone else is working on you to me, but that's another story.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
It was totally groovy.
What is it called? How can you recommend it?
It's called Breathing Workshop.
And you think they're the same everywhere?
Yes, yeah. Or breathing work, or yeah. I think it's dynamite, really.
Okay, that's a nice little. That's your entremont.
No, that's just a little catch up on the things I'm doing.
Well, I'm going to get us caught up on what may be happening in this country because I caught
33 minutes, everybody.
Yeah, just letting you know.
Ooh, it's a new one.
Yeah.
Another cooking showdown. This is real natural cooking. It's the way people cook.
That's right.
So I had guess who was on Charlie Rose? You don't have to guess. It's Morrell.
Oh, Mike the liar.
Now, Mike the liar's on, but he dropped a little bomb in there. Like, what might be the next target?
Now, is this the same interview where he said that we didn't bomb the trucks because we didn't want to cause environmental disaster?
I don't believe so. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I don't think it was the same interview as another one because this came after the San Bernardino deal.
Okay,
and it's newer. And I think it was just this week. And I think Charlie has taken a dislike to this guy. And I don't think Charlie even knows why he dislikes the guy. But I can tell you why I think it is. I'm going to play this clip, but every time he says right, and he, by the way,
right?
He says right in the middle of sentences. It's remarkable how he slips it in.
I think we need to get some analysis on this word specifically. The only thing I can imagine it being is a lie. When he says right, it's like, here's a lie, right? I'm telling you something blatantly not true, what I want you to think is true, right? And that's what Silicon Valley does.
I think you're close to what it might be, but it's hypnotic.
Oh.
And and the way he does it, he throws right. Like I'll try to do it. What he does right is to throw right into the middle of a right sentence, right. So it's very interspersed.
That's probably what is bothering Charlie Rose is that,
and he doesn't know it. Charlie doesn't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
But you can see he rubs him the wrong way. And at one point, actually later in this interview, and I only have a piece of it. This went on forever with the same cadence. He actually said right 4 times in a row. Charlie said something. He says, right. I guess right 3 times in a row. So there's always 3.
Uh-huh.
But let's listen to this and try. You won't hear a word he says because of these rights and me ringing the bell. But he does, I think, maybe tell us what's ahead.
Country that's founded on privacy and liberty and civil liberties, and to have the public want to give them up is a bad thing, I think, and that could be the consequence of one of these. Imagine the worst nightmare scenario, right, of a nuclear weapon being detonated in New York City. You can imagine how the American people would give up all of their freedoms, right, to make sure that didn't happen again.
Right.
Another is
a huge statement. They'd give up all their freedoms.
Well, not all, right? They'd give up an awful lot of their freedoms.
They'd be willing for the pendulum to swing towards security rather than.
Hold on one second before you move. I know where this comes from. This is how it works in Silicon Valley. Whenever you're telling a group of people who don't know the actual answer, such as people really don't use an email, right? So they really love their social media, right? So they really love to use Facebook posts, but only if it's amongst friends, right? So things that you have no actual statistics on, that's when you use the right word. So when he says, imagine a nuclear attack, which you can't imagine, you don't really know what people will do. So he's convincing you by throwing in right. Does that sound?
I think that's an element.
Yeah.
But he does it in the middle of, he does it in such an interesting way because and you don't catch it a lot of times. In fact, I almost missed one with the bell.
Okay, let's go.
But, yeah, let him play.
Yeah, I will, sorry.
All their freedom.
Well, they're not all, right? They give up an awful lot of their freedoms.
They'd be willing for the pendulum to swing towards security rather than...
Absolutely, significantly towards security, right? Another one of the consequences, right, is what Americans would demand of the president in terms of military action post a Paris-style terrorist attack here. All right, and I think the public would be much more demanding of actual boots, the boots on the ground as the president defines them. Right, go and take care of this problem.
So if Paris happened in New York City, there'd be a huge demand on Washington.
You can imagine the voices, right? You can imagine the public voices saying, we've got to solve this problem. We got to solve it right now. Let's put our boots on the ground. You know, let's send 50,000 troops. And that demand would be there.
But how does it, tell me how this connects to the president?
I think he understands this. I think he understands these additional.
What? He understands that. So therefore, what?
So I think
how does that affect his judgment? His choices.
I don't necessarily affect his
actions.
I don't think it necessarily affects his judgment and actions, but it affects what he's trying to say to us, right? Which is yesterday, right? In a conversation with Norah O'Donnell, he was trying to make the point that we can't be so fearful here that we give up the very freedoms we're trying to protect. That's the point he's making, right?
And in fact, he does say, he said to her, as he said, in other circumstances, we can dramatically reduce, but we cannot eliminate.
Right. So one of the things, right? One of the things that actually worries me is I don't think U.S. infantry guys in the thousands holding and taking territory in Syria and Iraq is the answer to this, right? I don't believe that. But I fear that a Paris-style attack here could lead us down that road.
Because the public would demand it.
Because the public would demand it. Politicians would demand it.
Okay, why don't you think it's the right thing to do?
Because we learned, right, in both Afghanistan and Iraq that taking the territory is really easy. And holding it is somewhat easy, a little bit more challenging, but somewhat easy.
Difficult and expensive.
But turning it over to somebody else who can control it from that point on is very, very, very hard. Somebody who can control it in a stable way is very, very, very hard. So what's the end game, right? What's the end game of a U.S. invasion of Iraq and Syria that's successful, right, in pushing ISIS from holding territory back into the safe houses and, back into the mountains? What's the end game, right? Who's going to come in and take over and be in charge and have a security force capable of ultimately holding it so that we can go home, right? It's that end game that becomes very, very, very difficult.
If you don't have an answer to that, though, at least you better have an alternative.
Right. So because the consequences of an attack here are greater than just the people dying, right? I think there's got to be a significant, as we talked about the last time we were at this table.
Acceleration,
amplification, intensification, and acceleration.
Prognostication.
Of what we're doing on both the military side, which the president has now done with regard to these special forces, and on the diplomatic side, right, in terms of getting a political solution in Damascus and Baghdad.
Okay. Oh, this is a tangent.
Chat room tally: 22 rights.
Now, one of
23.
the things, besides throwing the right in out of the blue, my fear was, and so what are the consequences, right? How do you ask a question?
Right. Oh, I said
and
right.
then drop the right bomb in there? This guy is either insane his patter, he should be taken aside, unless he's doing this on purpose. He's been trained to do this as some part of a way of discussing things. But Charlie, you could just see him bristling with this guy. In fact, he got into a little argument with him. Well, so what? What are you saying? And if you look back on with that little thing, which you put in the show notes, people should listen to it. He has said nothing except we're going to bomb New York City.
Yeah, nuke. Yeah. Or if an attack happened just like in Paris, which would be Amarillo or Dallas with the Eagles of Death Metal, that would work too.
I still think Dallas is a better possibility.
No, Amarillo is smaller and is easier to handle.
No, maybe they want to stick with the small things like San Bernardino.
Easier to handle. Yeah.
All right. That was my little thing.
Okay.
I do have an ISO, though, that actually was part of this whole thing. I pulled it out of the Megyn Kelly thing. This is the ISO of the day. I only have this one.
In their gear to go shoot up the place.
That's bogus.
That's bogus. End of show. Okay, I'm putting it in. End of show. Oh, man. Let me see. We had... Well, these are a little longer if we want to listen to a little bit longer stuff. There's thank goodness, people are now starting to stand up a bit to the cry bullies in universities, not just in the United States, but all worldwide, really. We do have some voices who are countering this kind of insane behavior of everyone being offended about everything and demanding... people admit white privilege, male privilege, whatever the hell it is.
Have you seen any of these videos that come? I think they come out of Australia. They're produced by an Indian guy.
No,
and I'll send you a couple. Somebody sent them. I think they tweeted or something. But they're one of them is just dynamite. It's just absolutely ridicules this to the maximum. It's fantastic.
Well, I have two clips. One is Doug Murray. This is from the UK, the Sam Harris podcast.
Okay.
And it's so Douglas Murray. He goes off on Yale, and when a Brit does this, they can do this. Of course, it's a podcast; you can do whatever you want. But this guy is not holding back. He's super gay, which makes it even more fun when he talks about some of the political correctness, particularly in universities, and I think you'll agree with what he's saying.
The amazing question which hovers over Yale University is, why do the adults sit...
I think it's a proper use in this case. It is amazing what is going on in Yale. I'll approve this use of the word.
I don't.
The amazing question which hovers over Yale University is, why do the adults sit and take it and the kids can run rampage? Why? What's happened to? And this is the really large problem, which Islamists and other terrible people are simply taking advantage of. Somebody needs to say to the shrieking girl who's effing and blinding at her professor, you know what? You're not at a home. This is not a home for you. It's a university. It's a very different thing. And what's more, if you cannot cope with Halloween costumes, then you've got no place at a university, because you're going to have no chance of dealing with quantum physics or Shakespeare or Heidegger if Halloween spooks you out this much. You're a useless person, and you're going to go into a useless career, because if you're a lawyer and you have gone to Yale, but you're too sensitive to hear about rape cases, you're not going to be able to represent anyone in a court of law. So you're no use for the law. You're no use for literature, because you might read a novel which will trigger you. You're no use for the sciences. You're no use for anything. And that's what the adults should be saying. They should be telling the kids to grow up. And the adults have lost their confidence, and that is the most striking thing to me. And let me just say one other thing about this. This whole thing of the weirdo sexual obsession, transgender trans, polygender, identify cis, I've got a penis but I can still win Glamour Woman of the Year award, and who are you if not only do you have to respect me as a woman, if you say I'm not an entire woman despite the fact I've got a penis still, you're a bigot, and then you got to find Caitlyn Jenner attractive. If you don't find her attractive, you don't want to sleep with Caitlyn Jenner, you're an even bigger bigot. This is the conversation we're having when the mullahs will nuke us. Everyone will be discussing whether somebody is transgender despite the fact they've not had any operation. There's a woman in Britain called Jack Monroe, a fatuous far left-wing so-called anti-poverty campaigner, totally talentless individual. This blogger has recently come out as transgender. She says, by the way, she's not going to do anything about it. We just have to call her transgender and regard her as transgender, but she's not going to get a penis put on her, and she's not going to have her breasts reduced or taken off or anything, and she's not going to... We've just got to start calling her a non-sexual pronoun. Now it's theirs for Jack Monroe. The Pink newspaper, I'm gay, I read some of this crap. The Pink newspaper ran a story about Jack Monroe becoming transgender because she says she is. I think she just wants a bit of publicity. They run a piece about her, and they've got to say there. Jack Monroe wrote a piece on their blog saying that when they was younger, I mean, it's an assault on the language apart from anything else. Anyone who cares about our delicate and beautiful language should turn away now. But we'll all be discussing whether somebody who hasn't got a penis can be a man and whether somebody who has got a penis can be Glamour Woman of the Year when the Islamists come in with Kalashnikovs. It's pathetic. It's a breakdown in our society, and you have to rectify it.
I like that guy.
That was well worth the time spent.
I have one more from Oxford Union Society.
Different guy?
No, different guy. This is Brendan O'Neill.
Rant?
Yeah, a good rant. I've only got...
I love the thing about you have to find her attractive.
You're a bigger bigot if you don't find her attractive. So this is at Oxford. This is the Oxford Union Society, where they have speeches and they record them. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like TED, kind of, only better. And it's kind of old-fashioned, where they do it at some Oxford, special room, and everyone's wearing bow ties. This is Brendan O'Neill, and I think he's from Australia. He's a writer, blogger, I'm sure. And he starts off with a whole prelude about different people, including, well, I forget all the names, but he has about 7 minutes of people who have been shunned from Oxford because their opinions on the world being round, not flat, which is debatable, on God and religion, all reasons why people were expelled and kicked out of Oxford. And now, of course, we have these safe spaces, trigger warnings, all the problems, and the student uprisings because they feel violated. And I liked the end of his rant.
John Wilkes, the 18th century radical journalist, offended everyone. He packed his newspapers with sex and lies and stories about bishops buggering their maids and so on and so on.
Love the Brits.
And in the process, through his struggles with the authorities, he gave birth to press freedom. The newspaper Gay News caused profound offense to Christians in 1976 when it published a poem about a Roman centurion giving Jesus Christ a blowjob. And in the process, in its struggles with the authorities, it started a debate about the blasphemy laws, which eventually led to their abolition, expanding freedom of speech for all of you, for everyone.
Question?
No.
No question.
The right to offend.
Shut up.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. The gift of scientists, thinkers, agitators who bravely showed their asses to the dominant ideas of their era. Their offensiveness made you free. I know what some student leaders will say. Oh, but our no platforming is about protecting individuals. We only want to protect women from misogyny and black students from racism. So our intolerance is progressive. Please, how progressive is it to say that female students are so fragile that they can't cope with seeing a pair of tits in the sun? No, without falling apart.
Free speech.
That doesn't sound progressive to me. That sounds paternalistic. How progressive is it to say that black students need these wise white student leaders to protect them from harmful ideas? Because that doesn't sound progressive to me. That sounds neo-colonialist. The fact is, today's student leaders aren't protecting individuals, they're protecting an idea. And it is the most mainstream status quo idea of the 21st century, the idea of human vulnerability. The poisonous notion that humans are fragile and therefore our speech and our relations must be monitored and policed. It is this misanthropic, orthodox idea that they promote and which they protect from criticism as surely as priests once ring-fenced their beliefs from ridicule. In this choking climate, we have got to move beyond talking about a right to offend. We have to talk about a duty to offend. Anyone who cares for freedom, anyone who believes that humanity only progresses through being daring and disrespectful now has a duty to rile and stir and outrage, a duty to break out of the new grey conformism, a duty to ridicule the new guardians of decency, a duty to tell them, fuck your orthodoxies.
I like that. He'll never get invited back, but I liked it.
Well, yeah.
You didn't like it?
I did. I thought it was good.
The Chinese have a solution, by the way, for all these problems.
Yeah, jail them.
No.
It's an app that instead of getting students to speak up, allows them to answer questions silently on their mobile phones.
This is fantastic.
That would be the Chinese. Yeah.
The results then pop up on the teacher's phone and get projected on the screen for all to see.
It's made my teaching more efficient. Before I was only able to track a few students' progress, but now I have a good idea of how the whole class is doing.
Students just don't actively participate in class, especially at universities. They're more likely just to play with their phones.
True.
The app also helps remove the element of embarrassment if a student doesn't get what the teacher is saying.
You know what's going to happen? This app will come to universities in America. And it'll be positioned this way that you only have to answer with emojis. You don't even have to answer in text. You just
Well, the problem in this country would be, which would not be something they do in China necessarily.
You mean in our country? Yeah.
Yeah. What you would do is you'd have a second burner phone. And then you would send messages because you'd have the numbers and know how to send. And it couldn't be tracked because you have, hey, there's my phone here. I say, look, no. I don't know who sent that. And you send lewd messages to the professor. And comments, you suck, just out of the
right.
So you just be pumping them with spam.
It is one of the best uses of a QR code I've ever seen. So the teacher pulls up, a question that the students have to answer with their phone with an emoji because they're too nervous to be wrong. And there's just a huge QR code, and you snap that with your phone, and then you get the question on your phone. That's actually a pretty good use of the system. I like that.
Yeah, it will come here. Let's go to some actual news. I got an item.
Actual news? Do you mean like real news or?
No. No.
I stopped it just in time.
Not the real news.
Just in time.
Did you hear this one? I got this from the PBS yesterday's news hour, and it was just it was a jaw dropper. I mean, I don't know if you picked it up yet. It hasn't been going around yet. Because I don't think it was approved that Kerry, who goes off, and says stupid crap, like he did with the phony gassing of the Syrians.
As an aside, my new friend, the Russian history professor, he said Kerry's dumb. It's nothing like a professor saying that.
Yeah. Well, here's Kerry. And here's the clip. Assad may not have to go.
On the Syria conflict, Secretary of State John Kerry suggested today it might be acceptable for President Bashar al-Assad to stay in power in the short term. In Greece, Kerry said Assad still needs to go eventually if there is to be peace and an end to the refugee crisis.
It's a human catastrophe on a gigantic scale. Yeah. And it is one of the reasons why so many people feel so strongly that Assad couldn't find legitimacy in the future to govern when 3/4 of his country has already voted with their feet and has had to go somewhere else to avoid barrel bombing, to avoid gassing,
climate change,
starvation.
Climate change.
Well, that's, again, we have our mixed messages.
I got a note from Sub70, is our guy in Syria.
Yeah.
He says, about the lame excuses presented repeatedly by the State Department, Kerry, for not bombing ISIS oil trucks. If they're so concerned about the civilians and their income being affected, how about less sanctions now that $1 is 391 Syrian pounds? Prices are 10 times higher than they used to be. On Thursday's show, when I heard Bill Nye's clip where he said that climate change is responsible for the Syrian crisis, I was up punching the wall. What a moronic and retarded thing to say. Islamic jihadists came from 82 countries to fight the Syrian government because of climate fucking change. Yeah, real plausible. Very good point, my friend. Very good point.
None of that surprises me.
No, well, it's.
I mean, luckily we have somebody on boots. There it is again. But we have boots on the ground.
Yeah.
In Syria that can tell us, as if we didn't quite know.
But the Russian professor told me that he'd said two things. One, he said,
"Where does he teach?"
Because he was in the workshop, I don't feel free to say that because I don't want people tying him into this breathing exercise. Okay. That's fair, right? Just the Russian professor.
You do know.
He does know Stephen Cohen personally, Professor Stephen Cohen from NYU.
Well, the Russian professor, people of Russian history.
Yeah, they hang out.
Yeah, the same with American historians.
Yeah. And he was so happy when I was laying some no agenda smack on him. He was like, everyone says that this is unprecedented. He stole Crimea. This was always there, that they don't know history. I'm like really animated. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
We know.
He said that, he said two things. First, he said that Putin is very bad for Russia, for the Russian citizens, but he said he's fantastic for America because he is showing the United States what our limits of power are. And I thought that was kind of a profound statement.
That's not bad.
It's very true. And then he said, here's how it's going to happen. Putin is going to help Assad retire, and then we'll bring in another guy. So that is the word from the Russian professor. Putin is going to help Assad retire. Because that's all that this is about. How do we get Assad out so we can put some crazy guy in who will just help rebelize everything or whatever. And then on that, I received on Friday an encrypted call on Signal, which I have, we've talked about this, and it was from one of our intelligence operatives who was often in Ukraine. And he's never called me and encrypted. And the first thing I said, of course, was, oh, this must really work. He said, oh, yeah. He said, when I installed this with my phone number, because that's how you do it. You give them a phone number, and then that's how you're identified on Signal. He said, immediately on my account, up popped messages from 3 generals, former DIA guys. He said, they're all using it. So it's kind of bizarre that both the terrorists and the U.S. military-industrial complex uses the same
You can't
technology.
talk. You can't have a nice, honest conversation unless it's encrypted.
Yeah.
I mean, which is what kills me about these guys pushing the, oh, God, what are we going to do? In fact, I have a clip, which we'll play after your clip, that I think discusses this a bit. And it just galls me to hear these guys going on and on pushing the encrypted thing. It's like the NSA, we should give them more power.
Right.
Anyway, go on.
No clip, but now I can't say everything because this is going to come out tomorrow in the newspapers in Europe. Then maybe New York Times tomorrow, but certainly Tuesday. and it's a big deal. I can't tell you exactly why, but there will be a huge scandal uncovered that implicates Ukrainian government officials all the way up to the president, prime minister, that directly connects the current Ukrainian government to the Svoboda party, who are Nazis.
Right, the Nazis.
They're not the Nazis. And Oleg, what's the guy's name? Oleg, whatever his face is.
The Nazi guy.
The Nazi guy. And it will be a huge scandal, an international scandal. It will be very big. And what's fun about it, and this is what I think is interesting for us, but this probably won't play out the way we play things out here on No Agenda, is that this will then connect Victoria Nuland Kagan, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, John Kerry, and I'm missing one douche knuckle. They all, and this will be with pictures, all pictures of them hanging out with the now corrupt, connected to the Ukraine government Nazis.
Okay.
And this is going to have big influence on the MH17 report, because one of the main people from the Ukrainian government involved in that is also implicated in this scandal. It is going to be big. And on Thursday's show, I'll be able to give all the details in the background.
I would just guessing off the top of my head, this is the kind of thing we can handle and suppress.
I think the part that we're interested in, yes. The actual scandal will be big because it involves stuff that people are interested in. I promise I wouldn't explain it on this show.
Yeah, okay. We don't, you don't have to. We just a heads up.
Yes, heads up. And then, so we do have an inside track, and I'm presuming that something will come out. Otherwise, of course, my contact will look a little strange.
Well,
but I'm very, very happy that this happens in the No Agenda Intelligence Network.
We'll see.
Okay.
I'm skeptical, of course.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, the big scandal going on right now is, again, it's us intimidating people and making it look like a scandal. Let's play Democracy Now! On FIFA.
FIFA is what we say.
FIFA.
8 top FIFA officials have pled guilty to corruption charges, agreeing to pay a total of $40 million in penalties. None of the 8 officials of the top soccer body are slated to serve time in prison. On Thursday, 16 more officials were indicted by U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch on charges of also participating in the decades-long multi-million-dollar corruption scheme that's thrown soccer's world governing body into turmoil.
I don't know what we've got to do with it. We don't even have the soccer stuff. I guess we wanted to have the World Cup. They wouldn't give it to us, so this is our payback.
Someone has to bleed. Yeah, someone has to bleed.
And so somehow Loretta Lynch, who doesn't seem to be interested in any sort of law enforcement, is all in on this deal. Another unreported story in this country, at least, which I still think this is a simmering story. There's some scandal going on here, and I can't quite figure it out. But the Democracy Now! Another one, DN, Doctors Without Borders attacked again.
In Yemen, Doctors Without Borders has accused the U.S.-backed Saudi-led coalition of bombing its mobile clinic in Taiz, injuring 9 people, including 2 staff members. Doctors Without Borders says it had provided the GPS coordinates of the clinic in advance. Wednesday's bombing was the 4th attack on a Doctors Without Borders facility in recent weeks. In October, U.S. airstrikes leveled a Doctors Without Borders hospital in Kunduz, Afghanistan, killing at least 30 people, including 14 staff members.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why wasn't this big?
You tell me.
Jeez.
The same reason that the stuff you just got is not going to be big.
Ugh.
Please don't report on that. This is we're working on a thing here. You'd be doing us a big favor if you didn't. If you didn't say anything, it would really help. You know what I mean? You're a patriot. You can help us.
Let's take it out there. Let's go.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
Surely you have something on the heels of COP21 in Gay Paris?
I'm waiting for you.
Well, they came up with a draft, which, of course, it's 48 pages. I downloaded it, started to read through it. These guys are nowhere near a deal.
Oh, no, of course not.
This draft is filled with holes. But I can't give you the purpose of the agreement, which is Article 2. 3 points. A, to hold the increase in global average temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius or well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels by ensuring deep reductions in global greenhouse gas net emissions. 2, to increase their ability to adapt to the adverse impacts of climate change and to effectively respond to the impacts of the implementation of response measures and to loss and damage. This one messed with my head a little bit because I'll read it again slowly. To effectively respond to the impacts of the implementation of response measures. What are they going to do?
Well, it's going to whatever it is. This is it's something that all the African nations are there saying we want money. You guys have ruined our lives.
Is that
such a great area before you came out, ruined it with this climate change thing?
Is that the money clause? You think this effectively respond to the impacts?
I think that is the money.
That's the money clause. Yeah, I think you're right. C or 3, to pursue a transformation towards sustainable development that fosters climate resilient and low green gas emission societies and economies, and that does not threaten food production and distribution. So that's the only thing we'll be allowed to have, I guess.
Food.
So, or crickets, bugs, whatever.
Yeah, bugs.
So this is unworkable. There's nothing I can do with that. Just nothing I can see. But man, they rolled. It was pretty elitist. It was beautiful. Of course, I saw the woman fainting against Al Gore from your Twitter feed. That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. She was needed some candy bar or something to stand up.
Yeah.
Of course, some joker, one of the Twitter jokers writes, well, maybe he was chewing on some garlic. Like, we brought my garlic thing up.
That was an interesting callback. I liked it. It was not bad.
It was good. Very good callback.
So we got reports coming out of
Can you imagine Al Gore with horrible garlic breath? Because he likes to stand real close to people.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine that. That's disgusting.
It's pretty disgusting to imagine it.
Coming out of Paris, let me see. We have to be afraid. Of course, climate change is going to ruin everything. Headline, coffee in crisis. Drought, flooding, disease, climate change is already threatening the source of our caffeine fix, according to BBC. We might be facing the end of coffee as we know it. Time to panic.
Wow.
Time to panic. And wait. These problems are by no means confined to Mexico. Farmers across South America, Asia, and Africa are watching coffee plants dwindle as droughts, downpours, and plagues of pests attack their crops as a result of global warming. The consequences of this unrest could soon work their way through the pipeline to your local coffee shop. The world currently enjoys a 2 billion cup a day habit. How can we ensure that the coffee still flows when the crops are being ravaged by extreme weather? And if the farmers can meet that demand, will we soon reach peak coffee?
Oh, brother. Where did you get that?
BBC.
Oh, my
BBC.
God.
Yeah, the BBC. Yes, the bastion of broadcasting, the BBC. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Paris, of course. Who doesn't love a trip to...
Oh, he's always been all in on climate change.
And he spoke at the French Parliament, I believe.
On Saturday, U.S. actor and former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was a guest speaker at the French National Assembly, where he called for a greener future.
This is the real world. This is not the movie world, which is the other world that I come from. There are no visual effects here, no special effects. There's no script writing.
Yeah, there is.
We can change the ending.
There's lots of visual effects and script writing.
The better ending or anything like that. This is the real world. It's time to embark into a smart path. It is time for a new revolution, a clean energy revolution.
Clean energy revolution. Well, that is being started. People are jumping on the bandwagon. And this is good. I'm all for this idea. This is great.
The one clip that I didn't get, and because I just missed it because I caught it in the middle.
Yeah.
But I should go back and track it down. Is Modi?
Oh, from India?
The India guy. He gave a talk. He was there too. He says we're not doing anything. He basically said we're not doing anything because we are not going to interrupt our growth path for this, and that was that.
Yeah.
And India is just a huge polluter. It's a shithole, let's face it.
Well, the elites are getting shithole. John at Dvorak.org.
Today, our world is in a current struggle with energy. It's rare, costs too much, and is hard to produce independently. Currently, 1.3 billion people still live without it, and half the world has an inconsistent supply of it, lasting less than 3 hours per day. Manoj Bhagava, creator of the 5-Hour Energy Drink and founder of Free Electric Hybrid Bike.
Nice little native ad, but wait, it gets better. I love this guy.
Plans to change all of this with the Hybrid Energy Bicycle. The basic idea is to ride the bike for 1 hour and get 24 hours of energy. The billionaire and his team developed the bicycle to take advantage of the mechanical energy created by humans to solve one of the world's most pervasive problems.
And he's sitting on this bike with a huge flywheel. This massive thing that I guess you fit in your basement.
One bicycle could potentially provide a small village with electricity if each household spends 1 hour per day pedaling the bike.
The real thing is to get the poor out of their poverty. And one of the basics is energy. I mean, think about it. The poor half stay the poor half because they have no power. They have no energy. That's one of the most fundamental things.
That's right. So get on the bike, slaves.
Stop and give yourself clip of the day for that because that's too funny.
Oh, thank you very much.
And then I have a comment.
Clip of the day.
This is like the eating bugs and all the rest of it.
Well, here's how it goes. Jimmy, finish your crickets and cream and get on the bike. It's your turn.
Your turn to power the house. Well, next thing is all boats should be like or driven with a bunch of slaves and a guy pounding a drum up in the front. Boom, boom. Row.
I'm going to show my support.
I'm sorry. What, you wanted to say something?
It's rowing.
Yeah. I love the whole sit on your bike. It's your turn to power the house, Jimmy.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
There's only about 20 people that came in and cared. Only 20 people cared. And the top guy was $126.21 from Tampere, somewhere in Finland. And his name is Hanu Amusa. And then he did write a note that he's got even Eric was kind of confused by this. And Eric's a Finn. Adam LaJohn, skip it too long. Birthday call is more important. Feels like red light has been on for ages. Mr. Smith thought it would lift his eyes from the anyway. He's got a birthday coming up. So we will thank him and try to decode the message some other time. Not sure I'm pronouncing his name right either. So Richard Moffat, regular from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, came in with $121.15. Farmer Garrick came in with from Rochester, Illinois, with $120 and wrote a long note, a handwritten note that was thanking us for all kinds of stuff. And I'll look it over again. It was very difficult to read, Farmer. Sir Andrew Holcomb in Ann Arbor, it came in as a check. Sir Andrew Holcomb in Ann Arbor, Michigan, $111.11. The 8-bit Dvorak jingle is so clearly time to donate.
Oh, yes. You know that one.
Okay.
I'll play it at the end of the segment.
I Amsterdam. That's funny. That's funny to you for some reason.
Yeah, that's the slogan of Amsterdam is I Amsterdam. I Amsterdam. I Amsterdam. I am Amsterdam. I am Amsterdam. Yes.
Okay, great. $100.
Thank you.
Jay Kumar in Beverly, Massachusetts, who comes in often. He may be a sir. Ben Fields, and that's $100. Ben Fields, San Diego, California, $99.99. $99.99. Nicholas Aristavi in San Bruno, California, 77.70. He would appreciate a shape-shifting jingle at some point. Okay. John Hamilton, Carlsbad, California, 6961.
I'll put it at the end
William
of the show.
Mitchell in Vestal, New York, 6666. Sir Kevin Dills in Charlotte, North Carolina, 6432. Sven Eric Jansen in Austin. You know him? You're in Austin.
I'm trying to think.
55.
What does his note say? I don't think so. I don't think I've met him. No.
Jeffrey Young in Upton, Massachusetts. That's 5280. Smile High Club. Sir Sam Lung in Toronto, 5280. Ryan Kiefer in Raleigh, North Carolina, 5150. Thomas Gruska in Seneca, New York, 5133. And the following 6 people gave $50 exactly. Corey McDonald in Richfield, Minnesota. Christopher Walker in De Pere, Wisconsin. Matthew Januszewski in Chicago, $50. Adam Beck in Lost Wages, Nevada, $50. And finally, Sir Mark Tanner in Whittier, California. He contributes twice a month, $50. And Brett Farrell in OKC, $50. And that concludes our group of well-wishers and supporters and producers for show 779.
Okay, I have a question. First, I have a make good. Meredith Bagwell donated $251.29 for the 777 show to complete her husband Danny Gray's knighthood, and also give a birthday call out. Unfortunately, there was no note, so
or it didn't show up on the spreadsheet for some reason, which can happen.
It happens.
You put a weird character in there, sometimes it tells the spreadsheet, erase.
Right. Now, Christopher Fenwick, who was our exec today, he what is his title again? Black Baron of the No Agenda Roundtable? Was that?
Yeah, Black Baron of the No Agenda Roundtable.
Okay. Outstanding. Well, thank you. Thank you to Christopher, of course, because he really evened everything out today. But thanks to everybody who came in today with $50 or more.
No, Black Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable, even though he's a Baron.
Oh, we hold on to that, right? You're right.
Yeah. We'll give him the Baron when he gets some more.
Everyone under the $50 level, usually for reasons of anonymity, but a lot of your subscriptions. It's incredibly appreciated. Thank you so much. It keeps us going here at the best podcast in the universe. We've got Hanu L saying happy birthday to Suomi, Finland. And of course, Meredith Bagwell says happy birthday to her hubby, Danny Gray. And we say happy birthday to everybody else who's celebrating today from the best podcast in the universe. It's your birthday, yeah. So then we have Sir Sam Luang becoming the Baron of Toronto, I believe.
Yeah.
That was still open? That wasn't taken?
Well, he could be the Baron of Ottawa or a Baron of one of the provinces.
Okay. Well,
no. I said it again. He is not. Toronto has not been taken.
Okay. Then he has Toronto.
Okay. Yeah. If he wants more,
he'll let us know. He'll let us know if he wants more. Okay. Yours?
Yeah, here he is. Sorry.
Perfect. Christopher Fenwick, Michael Snyder, Danny Gray, please step to the podium because you have all supported the best podcast in the universe, the amount of $1,000 or more. We hereby welcome you to the round table of the dames and knights, and I pronounce the Sir Christopher Black Knight of the No Agenda Round Table, Sir Beer Snob, and Sir Danny Gray. Thank you all very much for you at the table. We've got hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay, crickets and cream, raspberry pies and breakfast burritos, puppies and Taylor vintage port, ice cream with bear fillings, porn stars and pot, cannabis and Cabernet, hot pants and booze, wenches and beer, geishas and sake, vodka, vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, and mutton and mead. Head on over to noagendanation.com/rings and it will all be organized for you. Please tweet it out when you receive your package.
I have Farmer Garrick's note. I have to read this.
Sure.
It says, P.S. Any listeners who search me out at the Springfield, Illinois Farmers Market and give me a in the morning will get a deep discount on their purchase.
Dynamite.
Farmer Garrick.
Nice.
So I would assume it says Farmer Garrick there on his stand. There's a nice note. I want to thank him. He sent a really nice note in.
Did you by any chance read this New York Times article about Donald Trump, how they analyzed 95,000 of his words to make him look like a douchebag?
Well, it's easy enough to, no, I did not read it.
Well, they don't quite say it, but they dip into some neuro-linguistic programming about how Trump uses the word you and we a lot, which I think is known science that works.
Well, you're just communicating. If I'm talking to you right now, I'm saying something to you. How is that any kind of programming? I'm just talking to you. Yeah.
Well, you don't think the word "you" helps in garnering support for people?
Yes, it does help.
Yeah.
As opposed to keep talking about yourself.
Yeah,
I think that's mundane, though, don't you think? It's not really, oh my God, he's using the word "you" kind of thing.
No, you're correct.
The New York Times has got a hard on for this guy.
In this article, here's just one line: donations, because of course they're talking about it's crazy. The guy's funding his own campaign. He must be crazy. But according to the New York Times experts, donations are supposed to pay for commercials, which pay for endorsements, which bring in donations. Yeah. And the Donald just connects with people. Huh, what a concept. But he's pissing everybody off.
Well, let's go back and look at that one sentence again.
Donations.
So people are reminded what it says.
Okay, it's from the New York Times. I'll read it out loud. Oh, you have a copy of it too, I see.
Yeah, I have it. I want to read it and emphasize it.
Yes, please.
Donations are, but this is what they don't mean by donations. They say you get donations and then you're supposed to use it to pay for commercials.
For the media.
For the media. That means you would give the media money, and that pays for endorsements, which means the media gets a bunch of money. You're doing a lot of advertising. Then, we're endorsing Donald Trump because he gives us the most money, is what this says.
Yes.
And then, of course, since they endorse Trump gets more donations. So it's kind of a vicious circle. Yeah. Goes around and around, and the media ends up with all the money. The media ends up with all the money is the real crux of this. And so, the New York Times hates Trump because they're not getting any money from him.
No. And he was at the Republican Jewish Coalition speaking about this. First, I like that he spoke about this in the way he said it, which the New York Times, I think the New York Times, said his speech there borderlined on anti-Semitism. Whatever you do, let's keep the Jews away from supporting him. Oh, my God, it's all over. We got the Jews supporting Trump. But also I liked his cadence because here he's talking to not a populist, people in an auditorium, but to a very specific set of the population. His tone is calm, his cadence, very different Trump.
I'm in a different position than the other candidates because I'm the one candidate. I don't want any of your money. I want your support, but I don't want your money. I'm self-funding my campaign. It's been an amazing experience for me because I have very little money invested so far. I thought by this time I'd have about $30 million in ads, and I have none.
None?
Although I took a small radio commercial the other day in Iowa. But we have virtually no money invested in ads or advertising. And I think you, as business people, will feel pretty good about this.
That's anti-Semitic. Because Jews are business people. They understand. This is being called out in the universe on Face Page.
And you're kidding.
No. Oh no, I'm not kidding. You can read everywhere his anti-Semitic comments at the Republican Jewish Coalition.
Because he said you as business people.
Yes. Trigger.
Feel pretty good about this.
Oh my God.
And respect it. And at first I was embarrassed by it. I said, well, I think we're going to have to spend money just to spend money, but it's not really like a good thing to do.
Notice what he said there? Mind to spend money just to spend money, which is exactly how the system works.
Right.
You spend money just to spend money to be a part of the system.
I think we're going to have to spend money just to spend money, but it's not really like a good thing to do because I am in first place by a lot. It's not even close. Every single poll, every single state.
All right. There you go. The funny clip, though, was about Hillary Clinton. I just need to play it.
She's been involved in corruption her whole life, whether it's Whitewater. I mean, her whole life is corruption. She was a horrible Secretary of State. She did a horrible job. Yeah. Other than travel a lot. She traveled a lot. Nothing ever got done. The world blew up around her. It blew up. 500 to 600 calls and emails and everything from our ambassador asking for help, and she didn't respond.
Benghazi.
The truth is she doesn't have the strength or the energy. She responded to her friends. You know the friends we're talking about. Some of those friends are, sort of an interesting friend going on there.
Blumenthal.
But she responded.
I think he's talking about gays. You think it's Blumenthal?
Blumenthal. Sidney Blumenthal. It was a kind of a Jewish reference.
I totally misinterpreted that. That's my mind. Okay, I apologize. I thought, because there's a lot of emails with lesbians and stuff going back and forth. If you read the last 15 emails from Hillary, you have to read. Maybe I just misinterpreted this. I probably did. Too bad, because I thought it was funny. My version is funnier.
Yeah, no, he's bitching about this guy. And it's a reference, a self-referential position. He is talking to the Jewish community.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And they all know who he is.
All right.
You've always got sex on the mind.
I do. I apologize.
Well, here's a clip that I thought was interesting, because it's misinterpreted by the NewsHour, and because we've talked about this on the show before, and I'm going to talk about it again to remind people. But this is the clip. This must be on this page. Where are you, clip? This is the clip. It should say...
Germans?
No, not the German one. The one about the oil.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oil production unabated.
Yeah.
Got it.
The oil cartel OPEC announced today that it will keep pumping record amounts of crude despite sharply lower prices. Saudi Arabia has pushed to maintain output in a bid to drive U.S. oil shale producers out of the market. The price of oil has dropped by more than half in the last year and a half.
Wrong. We've talked about this on the show before, and I'll bring it up again.
Mm-hmm.
It will push a lot of the shale guys out of business, and it'll probably hurt the economies in North Dakota and Texas and other places. That's for sure. But that's not why they're doing it. We had an expert on a year ago or whenever, and who would discuss why the Saudis are continuing to pump, because it doesn't make any sense to keep doing this. They don't really need to put these guys out of business. It's not like they're really eating into their profits. The Saudis in the 71 oil crisis in the 1970s was a horrible oil crisis, and I can remember it because what you remember is all these cars lined up and down the street. You think it was a Star Wars movie.
Car-free Sundays.
And they got to the point where your license plate, if you had an odd number, you could go get gas on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and if you had it was horrible. And this was because OPEC had decided to screw the public, and they stopped the oil. The Saudis, because there was too much production, all the rest of it. So the Saudis are one of the groups that decided to go along with the program and cut back production to get this thing stabilized again. So they played the game. They played the game that was suggested. They cut back production. They cut back production, as this expert in the oil business said, and they lost a bunch of markets permanently, and it hurt them. This time around, the guy says, when this happens again, which it's happening with the oil price collapse, the Saudis are saying, they're shaking their heads and saying, no, we're not cutting production under any circumstances. We like the markets the way they are, and we don't want to lose any customers. That's what it's about. It's not about trying to screw the shale guys. And this is a pretty well-known, in the oil industry, it's a pretty well-known, I think, reality, what the Saudis are doing and why they're doing it. But it keeps being misinterpreted, just like the bombing, the Syrians bombing their own people with gas, which has been debunked over and over again, but it keeps being used as that is a meme. And this is one, too, and it's bullshit. Anyway, now you know. Again.
Well, speaking of shale oil, just for a moment, I neglected to mention that Monday, when this big news about corruption pops, Joe Biden will be speaking at the first time ever an American politician speaking in Ukrainian parliament about corruption. So I don't know if he's being set up or not.
But that's funny.
That
does sound like a setup, doesn't it?
Well, yes, and it's not so great because our Hunter Biden, his kid, we know that he's working for Burisma Holdings, a oil company in Ukraine. What I did not know is that during all the strife in Donetsk, I'm not sure which forces, but Russian-backed rebels or whoever it was, were actually surrounding this area where this company that Hunter Biden is involved with at a high level were building shale drilling setups.
Yes. Well, I think we reported on this ourselves.
I didn't remember this.
We did. You in fact, may have been the guy.
Might have been.
There in the map of Ukraine, there is an area in the mostly Russian area, which is up in the northeastern, somewhere, and it's apparently a huge oil shale. Massive amounts of oil shale.
It's one of the biggest, apparently.
Frack.
Yeah,
it's
really
huge,
big.
huge.
Yeah.
And that was part of we talked about this. We talked about this for a while.
This is how it starts. It's the demise. This is where it begins.
Well, it's the breathing.
Well, maybe I'm just distracted because, I've been hammered again in the Dutch gossip press.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for you to make some money.
Oh, man. Would the Dutch press please contact me? I have photos.
Headline.
I have photos.
Headline.
And I have a photo of Adam's tattoo.
Wait. Headline. Headline. After 6 years, X still gets a kick in the pants. Headline. Patricia Pai. That's, for those of you who are new to the show, that's was my first wife.
Very famous person, by the way.
And she is very, very good at promotion for herself.
She is, we've been watching her. She is a pro.
A force to be reckoned with.
Well, yes.
For me.
Yes.
Now, she is the mother of my child. So, we have to have a relationship. There's no anger. She hates me, but there's no anger.
No, she kind of hates you.
Headline. So she has a new boyfriend. Did I mention this to you?
Another boy toy?
Yeah, he's 24.
Uh-huh.
And Patricia's 66. Just give me the lay of the land.
If it was a guy. Yeah, anyway. It's
okay. Huge headline. Patricia Pai, Maurice is better in bed than Adam.
That's good.
Oh, man.
That's giving it to you.
I mean, of all the things.
Yeah.
So anyway, I figure that, you might have some photographic material. We could capitalize on this.
Yeah. Let's do it.
What do you need? What do you need a picture of?
Later. After they get a hold of me. And then I'll, and by the way, I do have the picture of the tattoo.
What tattoo?
Adam has and I have this picture. I don't know if they can run it because it's kind of dirty. And
less than 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do you have anything to kick us out so we can get back to deconstruction mode?
I don't have anything funny.
Well, no, just something to end the show with, maybe.
Oh, well, let's play a couple little short snippets. Besides the London knife attack, this has been going on for a while, and it's not covered by the American news, but the scene is hilarious to watch. This is the Kosovo clip.
Yep, got it.
A parliamentary session in Kosovo has been disrupted by tear gas for the 5th time in 2 months. Nationalist opposition lawmakers have been boycotting hearings in protest against a deal with Serbia. They're demanding the local government scrap the agreement under which Kosovo will grant greater autonomy to its Serb minority.
Also, another thing going on is that it's not being covered in the United States is the Germany Pegida Party. I guess it's the Nazis.
Yes.
They're having a big rally protest thing going on, and nobody cares.
All right, around the world in brief now, hundreds of far-right activists from Germany's Pegida movement have taken to the streets of Dresden to protest against the government's policy on migrants. Demonstrators decried Angela Merkel's open-door approach towards refugees. Police were deployed to the streets to prevent clashes with a rival rally of liberal activists. Anti-immigrant sentiment has been on the rise across Germany with a severe spike in hate crimes in recent months.
Hate crimes, no tolerance.
And then finally, also from RT, is the laser harassment not being covered in this country. In Japan, and they're trying to get us out of there.
Police in Japan say they're investigating reports of laser pointers being used to blind American military pilots stationed in Okinawa. Some U.S. officers have complained about being targeted with the laser pointers as their aircraft land or take off from the various Japanese bases. The American presence in Okinawa has drawn protests among locals for years who want the bases closed.
I like the effects they're using.
Yeah, they're using a lot of noise.
All right.
I think that keeps people up.
Bingo, boom, boom, chagalaka, boom, 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 chagalaka, boom, boom. All right. I'd say that'd be it.
Okay.
Big, super special, never happened before, crazy inclusive. Tonight, President, 8 o'clock Eastern. Watch it. I think it's the terror watch list loophole.
Terror watch. This is a bogus watch list loophole.
It's a loophole, I tell you.
And it won't do any. What good is it? It's just I don't know. I'll be watching the Warriors. See if they can win 22.
All right, should I watch the Warriors and record the president, or?
You might want to watch them if you wanted to watch some fun basketball. These guys are very entertaining.
Very good, yeah.
Back behind the back passes through the legs, spinning and dunking. I mean, it's like they're watching the Harlem Globetrotters beating the NBA teams up.
Huh.
They've won 21 games in a row, which is a record for all sports to open a season. They haven't lost yet.
And with that, coming to you from FEMA Region 6 here in the capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley and North America, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Thursday with more deconstruction, saving you from the terror of the news networks, right here on No Agenda. Adios, mofos.
Now get out there and whoop Obama's behind. Whooping with the Constitution. Whooping with the Constitution. Whooping with the Constitution. Whooping all their behinds. Constitution. Whooping.
Roll up with the magical shape-shifting Jews. Step right this way. Roll up with the shape-shifting Jews. Roll up. The magical shape-shifting Jews. Roll up. A little illustration. The magical shape-shifting Jews. Roll up. It's such an aggravation. The magical shape-shifting Jews.
Get out of my vagina!
Sit right back and you'll hear a tale with memes and phony science coming from Stanford Professor's Facebook post.